Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
With the new challenges we're all facing, First Hawaiian Bank wants to make sure you have access to your financial world. With FHB Online and our mobile app, we hope to make banking the least of your worries. Visit fhb.com/digital.
We hope that you and your loved ones are safe and healthy during the COVID-19 pandemic. It has been a challenging time for all, but now, more than ever, our cancer patients and caregivers need us. Although we are apart, we stand united in the fight against cancer. The American Cancer Society Guam is excited to announce our first virtual Relay for Life. Join us on Saturday, June 27th at 6:30 p.m. on KUAM TV 8, as well as on
collaboration. Yo, Zone, there's a lot of hula doggy tonight. Let's do this, man. Hey, yo, DJ, turn this music up. Hey, bartender, what my drink at? Uno, sa hula ikanamu dos. Representa itano mu tres. Pupabot neni. Zeng zung duro idagamo. Zeng zeng zung, zeng zeng zung, zeng zeng zung, zeng zeng zung idagamo. Zeng zung, zeng zeng zung, zeng zeng zung. Bottles back with a whole new track. Represent the homies with a whole lot of back. Tomorrow style, cause I'm known for that. Island pride, cause I'm down like that. This song strictly for the ladies. Where you're driving a Guam bomber, rolling a Mercedes. Get off the dance floor and show us what you got. Get off the dance floor and drop it like it's hot, mama. Size, para seti, para uno. Size, para seti, para zero. Hak sa hula, ikanay mo. Sa bula, dog, and pagu. Zogin ni baba mo. Zeng zunduro, itaga mo. Americana, Filipina, Mexicana, toto isla, samurita, pura man, bonita, bonita. Uno, hak sa hula, ikanay mo. Dos, represent tayo, tanong mo. Tres, pupabot, nene. Zeng zunduro, itaga mo. Zeng, zeng, zoom, zeng, zeng, zoom. Zeng, zeng, zoom, zeng, zeng, zoom, the gun mo. Zeng, zoom, zeng, zeng, zoom. Zeng, zeng, zoom, zeng, zeng, zoom, the gun mo. She's classy and nasty as hell. From the way she drop down, make the ballers wanna yell. Put your drinks up, a shot to get loose. Twerk that thing and show me what it do. She all on the flow, shaking that thing. Stiletto high heels and the map of bottom jeans. See through top, shot to get low. Work them moves and dropping on the floor.
Yeah. Good morning, Guam. Viva Fitness. That's what's up.
I'm awake.
Yeah. I had to take you back a little bit. God, I wonder what year this was. Zang Zung it. Hey, good morning. It's 6:23. Yeah, that's Badu and Zone Zing Zung.
Wow.
It's Friday.
Okay, zing, zing.
Yeah, Zing Zung. You know,
Zing Zung?
she wanted to hear Hagu. I was like, man, we did Hagu last Friday.
So he turned it up.
Let's get turned right off the bat.
Let's just
You
say
know, today is the reopening of bars and taverns.
That's why we're playing that. So
let's just say we made sure that each one of our listeners and viewers their woofers now work. Their woofers
Yeah.
and their tweeters.
it was a speaker check, Jay.
Yeah, I have a quick request if I may, good sir, because you always like to end the show on a good note. I have a special request if we could start the show like with some positive, like a prayer request actually.
Wow.
A very passionate fan of ours, someone who watches the show all the time. She's on Twitter and her name is Nisha, but she's got her Twitter handle and follower goes Kadu Queen. I don't think there has been a better Twitter handle ever created than Kadu Queen. She's awesome, and I believe she's from Inarahan, but she's expecting. She's a young lady, and I asked her, I was like, okay, well, when are you expecting? And she goes, I'm due late July this year, and this will be my third girl, so please pray for me.
All right.
So, Kadu Queen,
Prayers.
thank you
Prayers
so much
to
for
you.
watching, and we hope you have
What did you say? Cut.
You mean Kadu Queen?
Kadu?
I guess if we, well, I thought it was like Kaduku, but Kaduku.
Oh.
Well, yeah, that works too.
Yeah.
Is it Kadu Queen or Kadu Queen? I may have just screwed that up.
Well, good morning. That's Jason Solis. He
Yeah.
comes in occasionally to screw up the show throughout the.
Yeah. I take it in a completely
Just go. for
Inappropriate
it. Here you do. Own it. Own it. 6:24. Good morning, Guam. It's Business Friday. As always, a great, big, huge show for you guys this morning. Right off the bat, we'll be talking about a story that we broke yesterday. The homeless at Paseo being evicted from the pavilions that they were staying at there. And we're going to get John Birch on the line after we do news. And we've also got Angelina LePay from the Guam Homeless Coalition to talk about this after 9. Art Perez is also coming on to talk about the Guam Power Authorities. They got a 12-month
Right. We have the story from Nestor.
right COVID payment plan. So we'll talk about that with Art. Also, Sergeant Paul Tapao, GPD, and then we're going to go behind bars this morning. But don't worry, we're going to be able to get back out. We're going to interview Major Anton Uggan from the Department of Corrections. And as always, we're going to end the show on a good note on this Friday. And I believe we're also going to break bread with our friends at Grab and Grub this morning. And the show, real information, real time. It's containing COVID. The KUAM News Takeover, Guam's favorite, I-94. We're KUAM FM Agana. It's all proudly sponsored by the Bank of Guam, Coast 360, Ambrose Inc., IT&E, and Calvo Enterprises. Good morning, Sabrina.
Good morning.
How was your night?
It's good. Yeah.
What'd you eat for dinner? I always like to hear what people eat for dinner.
I'm not sure if I even ate dinner. I was so tired.
I had a great dinner last night.
What did you eat?
I made Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Oh, that's good. I
Cereal.
like cinnamon toast crunch.
It's good. It's good. Sometimes I'm a breakfast for dinner That's when I get crazy. You know what I mean? Straight wild. Like, I'm gonna eat breakfast for dinner.
Sure, it's
6:20
not like some Gorilla Glue action or what? What's up?
No comment. Hey, it's legal.
That's right. It is.
6:26. On that note, so we end the show with a good note. We started on a high note.
Exactly.
Let's take a look at the day's COVID-19 headlines with the very latest from the KUAM News team. Good morning, Sabrina Salas-Mantanani.
Hafide, good morning, everyone. We start with the latest numbers released last night at around 8:30 by the Joint Information Center. 323 people were tested Thursday by Public Health. One returned positive for COVID-19. Earlier in the day, though, the Department of Defense confirmed an additional 4 tests. They are military service members identified through contact tracing and are part of a unit deployed to Anderson Air Force Base that were staying at the Reef Hotel in Tumon. Since Friday, June 12th, there have been a total of 8 confirmed cases within this particular military unit. All the service members have been placed in isolation and under investigation. To date, the total count of COVID-19 cases on Guam is 193, 5 deaths, 170 recoveries, and 18 active cases. There is no community testing today, but things ramp back up next Tuesday with drive-through testing scheduled for 9 a.m. to 12 noon in Barragata at the Coban parking lot next to the community center. You don't have to have symptoms, just show up and bring an ID. Again, no community testing today. It's next Tuesday in Barragata. Effective today at 8 in the morning, bars, taverns, bowling alleys, travel agencies, museums, zoos, and aquariums will be reopened. Public Health, meanwhile, has issued revised guidelines for childcare facilities, which were allowed to reopen this past Monday at 25% occupancy. That has since changed to no more than 50% of child enrollment. Bars and taverns will also be allowed to open at 50% occupancy rate. Disconnections for non-payment of power or water bills will start back up again on July 1st, but the CCU says customers still facing financial hardships can come in and work out an extended payment plan. Nestor Lecanto reports.
The utility company suspended service disconnections in mid-March due to the COVID crisis emergency declaration, but announced today that as customers were allowed time to receive federal and local assistance, the disconnect policy will be back in force by next month. CCU member Simon Sanchez says the utilities realize that many individuals and businesses are still struggling, so
we adopted a resolution for both GWA and GPA to allow them to work with customers. It'll be on a case-by-case basis to set up a payment plan, and the payment plan could be for as long as 12 months.
He says bills cannot be forgiven, but GPA and GWA will work with customers to provide as much time as they can to catch up.
Everyone might be a little different, and depending on your unique circumstances, they just wanted the flexibility to say, here's a 3-month plan for Mr. Lecanto, here's a 6-month plan for Mr. Sanchez, and if they get to the end of that first agreed to plan and there's an issue, a challenge remains, that they have the flexibility to extend it for as much as another 6 months.
Under the payment plans, penalties and late fees, including interest, will be waived.
The island's homeless that have been sheltering at the Paseo in Hagåtña were told to move out yesterday. Plans to house them during the COVID crisis have been talked about for months, but nothing has materialized. Chris Barnett
I packed all
spoke
my
with them
suffering
yesterday.
I was at the clinic and then pharmacy, then I was called to come down here to speak up.
So you're homeless?
Yes.
And you've been staying here at Paseo, this
3
pavilion?
months.
How long?
3 months.
So for the whole COVID?
Yes. I was at GMH and EPAL for 9 months.
How did you become homeless?
My friend lost his job.
And what type of help have you gotten from the government of Guam staying here at this pavilion?
Nothing yet. Mr. Gutierrez, the former governor, came, as well as Mr. Silva, the head of the GFRS,
right,
and other people was there at the same time, and they did assess and ask us our needs. Public Health came also and did the testing. None of us got positive. I'm glad. promised to get back to us. None have.
Ma'am, let me ask you, the government of Guam has been trying to house the homeless during this pandemic. They started with plans at Paseo. They scrapped that. They now said it's put out to bid. Do you feel like the homeless and helping the homeless on this island is not a priority?
Yeah, I do feel. I have a disability and I feel neglected in ways of getting us into a safe haven, shelter so we don't catch the virus, but instead we're left behind. There was news, governor talking, Mr. Gutierrez making plans, but so far none yet. I put off a surgery 3 times because I need to be in a place where it's not open to air, at least for 3 days for recovery, but I can't do it.
What's your message to our elected leaders? It seems like they're either unwilling or unable to help the homeless. What's your message to them?
Please do something and make it quick.
Where are you going to go tonight?
I don't know. Sad. Pressured. I don't know where to go. In the beginning, they said we can stay. Even the director for Parks and Rec came out, and he goes, "Don't worry, you guys can stay." But because there were other homeless that were making so much drama for the past few weeks, yeah, it's too much. The police come by, but couldn't catch it on time. We have to suffer now for what they're doing. A lot of time, if you can see around, many of them don't want to clean up, and we suffer. Those that want to clean, and like me, look, all nice and neat. But we have to go.
This is not shelter. Not at all. This is a pavilion. Big difference.
Basically, they're kicking you out of here.
Well, and not much of a notice, and it leaves us with no hope. We don't know where to go. This is my first experience being homeless. It's really a hard life. I hope that their eyes will open and do something for us. I only took my essentials because, I don't want to carry that much with me. Otherwise, I got all my other stuff stored away. We're just making do with what we have.
Florencia Cepeda, she had been homeless for 9 months, but 3 months ago when she heard that there was going to be a tent shelter for the homeless at Paseo, she moved down to Paseo, so she's been down there for 3 months. And then Peter Marriott, he is a retired Guam Fire Department firefighter, and this is the first time that he's ever experienced homelessness, and he became homeless after he and his roommate were kicked out of a place that they had been renting. Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio, in the meantime, was on containing COVID earlier this week. He says they had to redo the RFP for the 4th time. He says he should have more answers on Monday in terms of a hardened shelter for the homeless. In regional news, we now bring in our Tomas Manglotnya, who joins us live from Saipan. Tomas.
Good morning, Bree and
Good
Chris.
morning.
Here's the latest from the CNMI. We sat with delegate Kalili Sablan yesterday to talk about a range of issues, As the PUA and FPUC applications are filed out in the Northern Marianas, we asked him about pending national legislation and the work that needs to continue. Take a listen.
I guess I just wanted to start off to talk about, I know everyone's waiting for another stimulus check, right? And so is there an update with regards to maybe a possible CARES Act 2 or anything of HEROES Act?
Well, that's our preference. That's our preference. And, look, even Mr. Powell, the Federal Reserve Bank chair, has been alluding, hasn't directly pointed to the HEROES Act, but has been alluding that a second, but he's more focused on unemployment, on the people unemployed, so that they could provide assistance to the unemployed. Again, unfortunately, here at home, and I will say this, and there's no sense in joy of me saying it, but I have to say that it's quite taking some time to get unemployment assistance up and running, we've been getting calls, and I've been getting calls, and yesterday I got a call, and there's actually two separate calls that when you go into the web portal at our Department of Labor and try to register, and then you can select the 50 states, the District of Columbia, and all the territories. The only territory missing, Commonwealth missing, is the Northern Marianas. And here you are trying to register here. I also learned some constituent called and said, I've learned a new trick. And he said, you can't, if you call the numbers that our Department of Labor has made public that regarding the unemployment, no one's answering those phones. But call TNN or ROTA, Department of Labor, because they're taking information as well, and they answer the phones and they'll help you. So it's a trick. I mean, I just hope not everybody starts calling ROTA and TNN, but for him it worked. So.
We also asked for his take on the current investigative subcommittee probe into Guam delegate Michael San Nicolas. He said, quote, I do not know when this is going to be over. I do not know what my colleague did. I cannot one way or another judge him. There are people who are going to do that, end quote. He added, quote, I wish well for Mike. I'm sure he's frustrated with this. I keep his family in my prayers too, and the people of Guam, end quote. And some major changes announced by the COVID-19 task force here in the CNMI late yesterday. An amendment to Directive 8 of the CNMI COVID-19 Emergency Directive is modifying quarantine for all individuals entering the Commonwealth effective on June 20th. They outline 5-step process for requirements to enter the CNMI. Any person entering the CNMI may be exempted from quarantine and be able to self-quarantine if they complete all of the following steps. It's about a 5-step process. The first of which is to fill out the CNMI mandatory declaration form at least 3 days prior to their arrival on Saipan, register and respond daily to the SARA alert system monitoring system, and exercise self-quarantine for 14 consecutive days as prescribed by CHCC, and consent to a specimen collection for COVID-19 testing 5 days after arrival. Again, these are just the initial outline steps. For full details, you can visit governor.gov.mp. They also add in this press release that returning residents do not need to show proof of a valid PCR test. All residents will be scheduled for an appointment for specimen collection 5 days after their arrival. And again, these are just the initial details outlined. The full details are available at the governor's website at governor.gov.mp. Bring Chris, that's the latest making news here in the CNMI.
Thanks, Tomas. Governor Lulian Guerrero has signed an executive order to address the mental health, drug, alcohol, and rehabilitation needs of inmates and detainees at the Department of Corrections. The Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center will stand up a satellite operation within DOC facilities with necessary personnel and resources to support programs to address those needs. GBHWC will be guided by National Rehabilitation Facility and Correctional Healthcare and Mental Healthcare accreditation standards. Attorney General Levin Camacho joins a coalition of 51 states and territories led by Connecticut, filing the third lawsuit stemming from the ongoing antitrust investigation into a widespread conspiracy by generic drug manufacturers to artificially inflate and manipulate prices, reduce competition, and unreasonably restrain trade for generic drugs sold across the United States. The new complaint filed in the U.S. District Court for the District of Connecticut focuses on 80 topical generic drugs that account for billions of dollars of sales in the U.S. The topical drugs at the center of the complaint include creams, gels, lotions, ointments, shampoos, and solutions used to treat a variety of skin conditions, pain, and allergies. The products are sold by 26 corporate defendants and 10 individual defendants. In national news, the pandemic continues to claim jobs even as shops and offices resume business. Elise Preston reports.
Businesses continue to open up,
I'm just glad to be able to eat at a restaurant.
and that's putting people back to work.
My clients will no longer have gray hair, and I will have an income again.
But even as millions rejoin the workforce, others are joining the ranks of the unemployed. AT&T is the latest major corporation to announce layoffs. The company plans to close 250 stores and cut more than 3,400 jobs. Last week, 1.5 million Americans filed for unemployment benefits, a number slightly higher than expected. But the downward trend in claims since March continues.
There is a picture that is emerging that the economy probably bottomed in April and is now recovering. Where we go next, that's sort of uncertain, and how long this takes, also uncertain.
And there's plenty of uncertainty for the unemployed who have yet to receive any money. State agencies across the nation remain overwhelmed and understaffed with a backlog of applications.
In Frankfort, Kentucky, people stood in line for hours at an unemployment office trying to get some answers.
I've been spending 14 weeks trying to get in contact with somebody.
Kelsey Stewart came earlier in the week. The pregnant mom-to-be lost her job in March and hasn't seen a check because of an application problem.
My husband was laid off. We were laid off within weeks of each other. We bought a house a week before everything happened, and sorry.
Stewart was able to get help and expects to receive her money soon, but many others are still waiting. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
Banking 671 report: don't be intimidated by pressure, threats, or confusion tactics of scammers. Scammers often use scare tactics and coerce victims into acting quickly before they can look deeper into their lies. Never respond to threats and or demands for payment or your personal information. Learn about how legitimate businesses or government agencies might contact you by visiting their website or calling a number that you know to be genuine. That is your Banking 671 report, brought to you by the Bank of Guam and Coast 360. And finally, get ready to lace up your running shoes. Guam's premier running event is going virtual. The 2020 United Airlines Guam Marathon will be converted into a week-long virtual race event that will be held from September 5th through the 13th and will be rebranded as UGM 2020 Goes Virtual. According to Ben Ferguson, the event director of Guam Sports Events, Inc., quote, "We do more than promote fitness and health. We also promote Guam as a sports tourism destination that draws worldwide attention. With this in mind, we have continued to monitor all developments regarding the COVID-19 pandemic within the Asia-Pacific region and how this issue affects both our international and local participants. Given these challenges, we believe this is the most responsible way for us to hold the event this year. The virtual event is free to all current UGM 2020 registrants, and they are automatically entered to participate. In addition, all current UGM 2020 registrants will be automatically deferred to 2021 at no additional cost. New registrants are welcome to participate in the 5K, the 10K, half marathon, or full marathon virtual run. Online registration begins on July 1st. Participants in the virtual event can complete their selected race distances within the virtual race event week while following their country's social distancing guidelines. To learn more about the virtual event, go to UnitedGuamMarathon.com or find them on Facebook or Instagram. And that is your news.
Thank you very much, Sabrina. 6:45. It's Friday. And I guess we'll just get right to it, and then there's a lot I want to talk about because I spent the whole last half of my afternoon visiting the homeless yesterday. And there's a lot of homeless in Agatna. They're not just at Paseo, they're all over the different little pockets. And I spent some time talking with a group that stays over more towards the East Agatna side. And so I'll tell you about it. Man, it just broke my heart. Them telling me about this, they're every day. You know what I mean? Just every day, their routine. And we'll talk about that. But we want to get the director of Parks and Rec on the line, John Birch here, to kind of find out more info on exactly what happened yesterday at Paseo. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Sabrina.
Hi, John.
So I guess, first of all, we had got a call yesterday from one of the homeless that they were told that they had to vacate the pavilions at Paseo, the boat basin area, and they said that they were told this by park rangers who had come to visit them in the morning and said that they had until the end of the day to clear out. I guess just first of all, John, if you could just tell us the events starting with that. Is that accurate? Is that what happened?
Yeah, this is it's a long story, but I'm gonna try to keep it short.
Well, we got 3 hours.
Basically,
And this is an important issue. So.
It's extremely important. I mean, homelessness is not just a problem here in Guam. It's national, it's international. And every community that I know of is dealing with this major issue. And it became more visible, we could say, when we came down with this crisis, this health crisis. And seeing them more now in Agatna is because many of them have migrated there, especially during the time that they received word and they anticipated that a homeless safe haven was going to be established at the Paseo Boat Park, the stadium itself inside. And work actually went on. And for whatever reason, that's made the news because of compliance issues, especially for those with disabilities. It was scrapped. And so that brought a lot of them down. Excuse me. I actually have gone out and spoke to many of the homeless people as they were moving down and asked them where they came from and asked them why they were homeless, what were the circumstances. And I admit that, you feel for them. Some of them are there because they lost their jobs, especially with the downturn in the economy. And prior to that, many of them have lost their jobs too, and they were seeking help. Of course, there's a whole lot there by choice. The ones I really feel for are those that are there by circumstance. The ones that choose not to follow rules, because we do have programs available to them, with the many nonprofits around the island, and the ones offered in Guam have rules. And some of them choose not to follow rules, so they choose to be homeless. But then, of course, there are those, especially with families, that it breaks your heart when you hear their stories, because they're the legitimate homeless that need help, and they want help, and they don't know where to get it. So there have been a lot of discussions, and I'm not on the task force for the homeless, but I've heard of the discussions.
You should be, though. You should be, because they're sleeping at your parks. Well, they were sleeping at your parks.
Well, they're not just my parks. They're the parks for the people of the island.
Of course.
And they're part of the people of the island.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they are. And that's how come, in the very beginning, my first day on the job, I was brought in on the very first day of the shutdown of the government. And immediately, many public safety officers, including the park patrol officers, and I have a total of, believe it or not, two panel the parks on the island, were transferred to GPD to augment their forces during the crisis. And they're still there. They're still assigned to GPD. So the park patrol officers aren't under my direct supervision.
So who gave the order, John? Because when I hear parks rangers, I think Parks and Recreation.
Okay, I made a request for them to start moving them out.
So you gave the order?
Yes, and the reason why is the parks are very important to the island. As we lift the restrictions, for people more and more people are starting to venture out into our parks, and they asked me why has there been a double standard during PCOR 1, and now we're in PCOR 2. Parks were closed, and if any law-abiding person went out to the parks, the park patrol officers and GPD would disperse them. However, the homeless were not only allowed to stay in the parks; they were also moving in.
Yeah, but John, isn't that largely because of the government's failure to secure a shelter for them? Isn't that why they're congregating in the parks? Is because we're supposed to house them, and then we failed at that miserably.
Well,
many times.
We haven't found a solution. I'm not part of that. My part is to
kick them out of the parks.
To spruce up the parks. We're trying to revitalize our economy, and to help our economy recover. What we must do is revitalize the tourism industry. The tourism.
There are no tourists coming, John. There's no tourists here right now. I'm just in my mind. I'm wondering, where's the compassion? They don't have anywhere to go.
Chris,
where did you think they were going to go when you kicked them out?
There is a lot of compassion, but hold on. Okay. Give me a chance to speak.
Go ahead, John.
Now, in order to revitalize that, we got to spruce up our parks. If we don't spruce up our parks, who's going to come here to Guam and where are they going to go? If we need to restart our island, our economy is crashing. We have no tourist attraction funds coming in. Parks and Rec runs almost exclusively, just like GVB, off the tourist attraction fund. When those monies run out, we shut down. It's a reality. We're going to have to start laying off people if we can't get our economy going. We're faced with another crisis. We talked about the dengue crisis. Now the corona crisis. We're going to have a huge budget crisis. And whether or not DPR and other GovGuam agencies are going to survive is going to be dependent, just like the private sector, on whether or not we can get our island moving. We have two major sources of income. One would be that's brought in by the federal government and with the military. The other one is our tourism industry. That's basically it. That's the bottom line. Now we've lost a lot of money coming in the island. We've got to start it up. One of the biggest things we have to do is get the parks all spruced up, clean up the areas that our tourists visit. The plan is to start pushing hard now this month. We're going to do an island-wide beautification project. We're going to paint all the shelters. We're going to water blast them. We're going to clean up the parks. We're going to repair as much as possible during the short period. The refurbishment of the restrooms are just the first phase. We have several more phases coming in. We plan to have it done and completed hopefully by the 28th of June, by the end of this month. Then the plan is to start bringing the tourists in the first week or so of July.
Yeah, I think we know what the plan is.
Yeah,
but I just wanted.
That's why I sent you pictures to show you.
Yeah, we're going to show these.
Of the tasks that we are faced with daily.
Right.
How can we paint the shelters? How can we water blast them? How can we cut the grass when this is a daily occurrence?
Mm-hmm.
We have over 800 homeless on the island.
Right.
And when that promise was made, that failed for whatever reason, with the homeless safe shelter or safe haven down at the Paseo Boat Park, the great majority of them moved to the center of our island, to the capital. That's why they're visible.
Right.
They've always been there. But they came from up north. I asked them where they came from. They came from Dededo. They came from Timoni. Now they're almost all clustered in one area, which in the case of identifying them and testing them worked because they were in one location. They were easy to find.
But was there any thought or consideration for these homeless people before you decided to kick them out, to like maybe engage in discussion with the people that are in charge of this hardened homeless shelter?
It has been going on. In fact, they've had
yeah, but it's like, get out. Well, I don't know where you're going to go, but just go.
This is like a stateside move to me.
Okay, my job is to spruce up the parks.
John, and I think that's really insensitive of you to say your job's to spruce up the parks, because I feel like you're implying that removing these homeless, we got to spruce up this park, let's get rid of all these dirty homeless people who are...
And it's like parks over people.
Yeah, and John, but no one's going to the parks, and if the government failed to...
Where do you want us to place them? Do you want them, and do you prefer that we move them into old park shelters at the park? Tell me, is that exactly what you want to happen?
Well, what I want to happen, John, is if you don't have anywhere to put these people, let them stay at the park until we figure it out. If there's a problem with them littering and them trashing the place, then do your damn job and clean up the parks.
We've been doing that every
It doesn't look like you're doing your job, John. Look at these pictures you're showing us.
Oh,
And so now what we have here is you're going to blame all the homeless for trashing the parks. And I don't think 57-year-old Florencia Cepeda is out there trashing the parks.
Okay.
I don't think she's doing it.
It's not just her.
So give me some numbers, because you keep saying things like, "Oh, people want to be here by choice."
100 of them. Chris, hold on. There's numerous people. You just said you went out and you found many clusters of them.
Right. Yeah.
We've done the same thing, although we're not in the task force that deals with them.
Right.
But we're in the task force that deals with cleaning up the island, physically cleaning up the island. And you're talking with the homeless. Yes, we do have compassion for them. We've been trying to help them out. But we have to now also try to revitalize our economy. The life of other people on this island is going to depend on us getting our economy rolling.
Yeah, but John, all we're doing is sweeping. John, let me talk now, John.
Hold on.
John, no, you let me talk first. I let you talk long.
I mean, you asked me a question.
I know, but all we're doing here, John, is we're sweeping this under the rug. We're not solving anything. We're kicking them out where no one can see them. Go in the jungle where no one can see you guys. So when the tourists come, they think we don't have any problems. That's all that's going on here.
We have problems. Like I said, this is an international issue that will not go away. It's going to be constant. You go anywhere in the world, anywhere.
What does that have to do with anything, John? Yes, we know there's a lot of homeless.
A lot, because we're trying to do something for our island, and I'm aware that there's a lot of people.
But these people are part of our island, John.
That has been asked to help us deal with this issue. It's a massive issue that before this whole thing occurred, before they all moved to our capital city, this has been an ongoing problem, and it's going to continue. But now that they're out there publicly, where people can actually see them, now people are starting to be concerned. And I hope that climbs, and I hope that for some way we could find a miracle somewhere that we can actually take care of these people. But then we also have to take care of the rest of our population too. We have to revitalize our economy. And one of the major things is to go out and fix up the most visible parks that we have. I mean, if we have tourists here, we're going to have to bring them into certain areas and show our island. And what you're telling me is that we should leave them in the park, leave them at Ipao, leave them at Matapan, leave them at Paseo, at Liberty Park, and bring our tourists in and say, this is Guam.
What you're telling me, John, is that we should shove them off into the jungle somewhere so that the tourists don't see them.
We have 800 people out there, and we must take care of them. They are agencies, and they are programs available if they would just agree to the rules that those programs required. Some of them choose not to. We have daily fights. Yesterday, we had people fighting over in Paseo out by what we call Shelter 3. The contractor is doing his best to repair the restrooms at Guerrero Field right there at the Paseo Stadium, and they have cut the locks many times and broken into the restroom while construction is going on.
Maybe because they need to use the bathroom.
Are there any other parks that you've
You
kicked
don't have
out
no bathrooms
homeless
open.
people?
You say they must use the bathroom, yes. Now, how do you use the bathroom when the commodes aren't even sitting on the floor because the old ones have been removed because they're damaged? And then somebody comes in and breaks in and takes literally a shit on the ground. Now, over at Padre Palomo, let me give you an example. My staff went there because I told them around Memorial Day, we must clean up the cemetery next to it. Technically, that's not under DPR's area, that responsibility, but because it's Memorial Day, I told them to do it while we're cleaning up Padre Palomo Park. They came back and said, sir, we found a bunch of trash. I sent you pictures of that.
Right.
And they said, sir, there's some areas we refuse to clean because they have old tires, 3 old tires laying around, and they refuse to pick it up. And I said, what's the problem? They said, they use them as toilets. They're literally filled to the top, literally, with manure. They're filled, and it has I can't have my personnel go out there and literally pick up crap and like that, in tires that are filled to the top. And then around the rocks there at Liberty Park, they go out there, and during this time, before construction started on the restroom, we left one restroom open because we were people walking in the morning and in the evening. We have lots of law-abiding citizens out there walking in those parks on the trails, and they were complaining that they were smelling manure and urine all around those areas.
Because you guys
So
don't have
so
the
what we did
bathrooms
is we
working,
provided
John.
them.
There's no bathroom for them to
It
use.
should be finished this week. Construction doesn't start that quick. Getting permits takes
But you
2-3
keep blaming the homeless for the government's failures.
Hold on.
You're blaming the homeless for the government's failures. It's not their fault there's no shelter. It's not their fault there's no
I'm
bathroom.
telling you what we're doing. Yeah, what am I going to do? The bathrooms are being fixed. The contractor is working hard to get it done, and people are breaking in and using the toilets that are still in the box, filling it up, and it's not even on the hole. And you're telling me I have to allow them to do that? That's not right.
I'm not telling you have to. Of course, John, we're not condoning vandalism or anything. We're just saying that there's no bathroom for them, anybody to use.
We've given them trash bags, rakes, and asked them to please pick it up, put it in one area so we can load it up and take it to the dump. That's 2 pickup loads of trash every single morning. But I send you pictures of nighttime down at EPAL where trash is all over the place after my staff are going through there during the day. And it starts during the evening. Then the next morning, we're faced with beer cans and everything all over the place. I sent you pictures of that. You have to know what we're doing. Now, I have 6 people, believe it or not, 6 people to do all this work in all these parks. Where do I get the people to go out there? You say, go cut the grass. Now, DPR has been cut severely. We're down to 43 employees. I have a couple of people working in the park, doing the cemetery, burying people. It's a constant job. 2 people aren't enough up there. So every once in a while, I supplement them with 2 more to cut the grass. Now, this takes away from the 4 people cutting grass in all the parks on the island. That's all I have. That's by policy set by the legislature, who has routinely over the years cut back the staff at DPR. We used to have over 220 people. Now we're down to 43. With attrition, because of the limited budget I have, every time somebody retires, I cannot replace them because we're underfunded for utilities, power and water, and BBMR takes that money out and pays the utilities, and then I don't have any money to replace the person who quit, died, or retired. And we're constantly losing staff. So now we're down to 40.
Wow, kind of sounds like you have it worse than the homeless, John. Congratulations.
No. You're saying that we have to take care of this. I don't have the personnel to do it. It's good enough that I'm able to keep the department afloat, much less try to be compassionate. We're trying. We gave them rates. We gave them trash bags. But people, there's not the same people staying there every day. They move around. They're a transit. Some move out and others move in. Some move in that are friendly and actually help us try to work and clean it and keep their mess all in one location where we can pick it up. Others come in and we have beer cans and trash all over the place the very next day, and we have people literally defecating and urinating out in the park on Liberty Park,
John,
tires or whatever they can find. So you're telling me that my staff has to do that? We have to be compassionate about the people that are cleaning the parks. There are only 6 of them total. Come on, Chris. 6 people.
But John, I go to parks where there are no homeless, and there's a lot of trash there too.
Where are we going to put them? Now you're saying I must go out and pick up their trash. Literally,
John, you just said where are we going to put them? Why wasn't this discussed in this task force that you said you're a part of?
I'm not a part of it.
No, I'm not talking about the homeless. The one you're talking about revitalizing the economy.
Yes, exactly.
That was not discussed before we pulled the trigger on kicking all these homeless people out? I mean, it just sounds like another example of poor government planning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to let you know that Parks and Rec is doing the best it can with the limited amount of personnel it has. Our duties are not just cleaning the parks. We are also working hard to get the swimming pools back up and running and to repair or replace the one in Agana. We're also taking care of the cemetery. When I came on board because of the emergency, I was told to expect minimum 5,000 people that we're going to have to bury. That became a priority because of the crisis.
So what are you going to do after this huge cleanup? Because these parks have been, it's not the first time we're hearing about dirty parks.
Yeah.
We hear about this all the time.
And
So
it's not
what's
just
going to
homeless.
happen after we reopen the doors for all these tourists? You mean to tell me that they're going to be maintained?
Okay, listen up, Sabrina.
Well, don't tell me listen
Oh,
up.
John, you
I
better
can
take it
hear
easy
you
there, buddy.
Just
I know,
fine.
but listen to me, okay? We've heard, even before I came on board, we heard that restrooms are broken. Got to be fixed. Now that we're fixing them, we're getting complaints that why you're fixing them now. Well, we need to repair all the restrooms. They're all damaged. They've been vandalized. Now, we've also been told that parks are dirty. Now, we're doing our best, and I have only 6 people on staff to do this, to clean them up as much as possible, especially those that are tied in with our tourism industry. And now we're told we must leave the homeless there, because if we move them out, where do they go? I'm hoping other agencies could come in, those on the task force, to deal with it. We're trying to keep the parks as clean as possible. It's a huge task picking up trash every single day, aside from cutting grass. It is very, very difficult.
You get it. You got a hard job. We got it. Okay.
It's extremely
I
hard.
think it's
And
also very. I mean, John, you're sitting pretty, dude. Why are you complaining about how hard your job is?
It's difficult with limited staff and extremely low budget. The Parks and Rec is running on a shoestring that's been broken and with no shoes to put it into. It's running on fumes. I'm being totally honest with you and
Yeah.
totally
But
transparent.
the homeless are running.
And right now,
they're running
every
on less
government of
than
Guam
fumes.
agency is probably running on fumes because of COVID.
Not just a Parks and Rec problem. Now, what I'm trying to tell you, it's not just a Parks and Recreation problem. But if we don't clean the parks, if we don't get this island up, spruced up, and entice our tourists to return, we're going to be faced with a bigger problem. The next one's going to be a budget crisis. We've had the dengue crisis, now the corona crisis, and we have the homeless crisis, and then we're going to have a huge budget crisis. And when we start shutting things down, then people everywhere are going to feel the severe hurt, not just the private sector who work furlough, but even government employees that just might have to be furloughed if we don't do something about it immediately. We're going to be hit hard if we can't get our economy rolling.
I don't know when this turned into a budget talk, John. We're trying to ask you about the homeless, man.
The truth, right?
Yeah.
You see it happening. I'm telling you, GVB and Parks and Rec, our budget comes from the Tourist Attraction Fund. When that's gone, if nothing's done, we're gone. So we have to do something to survive.
John, we're getting a lot of comments here on the Facebook. People are saying the parks have always been trashy. They have been. I'm not sure why you're attributing it all. Because John,
I'm new in the department. Should
Right.
we leave it that way? My thing is, they've always been trash.
Right.
Should we clean our house up? Do you want me to
yeah,
clean it
you
up?
should clean the house up. But I'm just saying they've always been trashed, and it seems like you're really just blaming all the homeless for it.
I'm not blaming the homeless.
What do you mean you're not? You just got done blaming the homeless for the last 20 minutes.
You're telling me, okay, you're telling me that I'm blaming them exclusively? No.
That's
But
what
they
it
are
sounds
part
like.
of the issue with cleaning up the parks. Now, do you want me to leave them in the shelters there and bring our tourists when we try to revitalize economy and bring our tourists in and say, come on, look at our Liberty Park, how beautiful it is, and take them on? It's all part of showing people how good our island is.
By hiding our problems away where no one can see them. Yeah.
Hopefully we get them. Hopefully there's another task force working on that.
Oh,
Hopefully
gosh.
they can get them placed. Now I'm not part of that one, but we've been extremely, you could say, lenient. That they have not been asked to move, but now we have to. The 28th is the final day of cleaning the parks. We have to get it up and ready to look the best as we can get it. We have other programs going.
What other parks were people kicked out of? Is it just Paseo?
Just there, Ipao and Matapings, where we're moving them. Those are the prime properties that we have, that we bring tourists to. And we have people staying down at Ipan and like that, and they have not been pushed out. We have people staying in other areas. We even have a report in our park patrol officers down at Nimitz before I came in, with people who set up, because parks have power and water, they set up a laundromat, and they were discovered when DPR found out that the water and power bill went up pretty high, and they had to go down and confiscate the equipment there. And so it's an issue that parks does not have enough personnel to actually patrol all the parks. We have 2 park patrol officers. You got to listen and hear that everybody expects the government can do everything every day, all the time.
No one's expecting that, John, but that's not a pass to fail at something as big as this.
It's something we're trying to correct.
I mean, I'm just hearing a bunch of you're just making yourself out to be a victim, and the real victims here are the homeless.
There are victims all over.
Not the high-paid directors, John. It's the homeless or the victims here. Can we just start from there, maybe? The homeless or the victims?
And this isn't an issue that just happened yesterday when they were kicked out. This has been talked about for months, about how we're going to find a homeless shelter.
And they went to Agana because you guys said you were going to build a homeless shelter in Agana. So that's why they went there.
Exactly. That's right. That's true. You hit it right there. That's why they're visible in Agana. They came from everywhere around the island. And they're visible now, and they moved into the premier parks that we have that is needed to revitalize our tourism industry.
We can't hide our problems. We need to fix our problems.
Exactly.
I mean, all you're doing is chase them out where no one can see them.
The lieutenant governor was on the air just last week, and he said he should have some answers by Monday, because this is the 4th time they've had problems with trying to find this hardened shelter. You couldn't have waited to speak with him about this?
Yeah.
No, we're working hard right now to clean up. Parks and Rec has been going out, we're cutting grass, we're picking up trash, and we're trying to remove as much debris as possible in preparation for the revitalization, the island-wide cleanup that's occurring on the 27th and 28th, which is just around the corner, and with the plan to start the island back up, get our businesses open, get people back to work, bring tours back to the island, so people that are unemployed, who have been furloughed, can get their jobs back. This is part of a bigger plan to revitalize our total economy. Part of it, and one of the major parts, is opening up our tourist attractions to bring people in to revitalize our economy. This is part of a bigger plan to get our island moving again.
Right.
Otherwise, we're going to.
And that plan involves bulldozing our homeless to the side. Got it, John. I think we're done hearing you repeat yourself.
Chris, whatever you want to call it, you can call it whatever it is.
It is what it is. They're bulldozing the homeless to the side because we're trying to make our island look clean for the tourists that probably aren't going to come.
And there have been people, there are programs, and there have been people who've been addressing this. I've talked to some of these people. Bora has this rapid response housing program, and I've been asking Ray Tapasa how that's been moving, and they're trying to take care of the families and bring all the families in and provide them with housing. We have an issue now that there's so many people out there. We only have so much available to us that we can use for this. Now, if we don't get the island going, I mean, if you feel that we should allow our main tourist attractions to continue to be used the way they are, tourists won't be enticed to come to our island. We must clean it up. And I'm being real with you about what has to be done. So if you're saying that we should open up our and leave our premier most the largest and most frequented tourist attractions and allow our homeless to stay there so that their issue can be addressed, fine. If that's the way the people of Guam, the taxpayers want it, then we could allow that. But then what do we do when the rest of the taxpayers lose their job? Then all of us become homeless.
Oh, so the taxpayers are going to lose their job because we got people sleeping in a pavilion. That's a good one, John. That's a good one.
Crisis.
I think I heard it all now. You're taking like demonizing the homeless to a whole new level.
Reality of what we need to do, and it's not funny. It is.
Yeah, it's not funny, John. It's not funny.
It's not. This is a major crisis, and now we're going to go into a huge crisis because our economy is crashing. You got to open your eyes and look around what's happening.
I think you got to open your eyes and look around what's happening, John.
I have, and I see what's out there, and it's real because I'm out there in the front dealing with this, and we have to get something done. So you're out there, and I hope you could publicize it, and we take care of the homeless. It is a problem that we're going to deal with years from now. I don't know if there is a solution for the homeless, but there is now a solution to help those of us who have lost their jobs. We have too many people have lost their jobs, and we got to get those people back to work. We got to get our hotels up and running. We got to get our tourism market back. Already you can hear about the airport talking about possible 50% cut in their budget and possible furloughs. That's what's going to be faced with everyone very, very soon if we can't turn this around today.
Right, I got it.
If we don't turn it around today, you're going to see more people that are homeless in the streets. So we're trying to prevent that. We're trying to stop that from occurring. To do that, we got to get people back to work. We got to get it moving. And part of it, a major part of our economy is the tourism industry, and we must get that up and running. Now, you're saying that that's not as important as taking care of the homeless. Well, we will have more homeless in our streets if we don't do something about getting our economy rolling today. And parks and cleaning and sprucing up of them are very, very important to this whole.
We also got to get PUA payments out, FPUC payments out, the stimulus checks out.
Exactly. And
exactly, and it hasn't been done.
They're trying. People are working. I know. I have the swimming pools. How am I going to get the swimming pools up and running if we run out of money?
Okay.
The island needs to bring it in. We have to get our economy rolling so we can get these things fixed. If we run out of money for the entire island, where do we go? We go into the streets. We shut everything down. We're faced with a major problem here. And the major problem that's going to hit us very, very soon, and I know the legislature is going to be addressing this, is the budget crisis. What do we do when we've lost so much income? How do we get it back?
Please don't go to the budget crisis, because the administration isn't even going to provide a budget which, outlines the priorities of the administration, and they have indicated to the legislature that they're not going to do it. So they're kind of like just waiting and flying blind.
I hope not, because then we're all in trouble.
Yeah, I think it's a little late for that.
I hope not. And I'm just one person out there running one department that is in crisis itself. That's what I want to explain to you. It's in crisis. My predecessor had issues. I entered a department that is in crisis. And the big issue is going to be, do we want to keep Parks and Rec as a department? Is there a future for it? That's how bad the problem is. It's extremely bad. You haven't seen the worst of it. But I'm willing to sit down with you and explain the minute details of it if you're willing to listen. So you can't blame the personnel at Parks and Rec.
We're not blaming the personnel. Yeah, you're the director, John. The buck stops with you. I got no problem with anybody out there who's picking up trash.
We're working hard to get things done. We got a lot on our plate. Parks and Rec, physically and budget-wise, is one of the smallest departments in Guam. It's been one of the most neglected.
Yeah.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that. I'll tell you that that's the way it is. The mandates are huge, but what we got to operate is bare minimum.
Okay, John.
So does Parks and Rec have a future? That's going to be the question very, very soon, especially we can't turn around the economy. There will be no Parks and Rec. There will be no GVB. We got to do something. And when that starts happening, then other jobs here will be lost. So it all starts somewhere.
Right.
Like
it starts with kicking the homeless out. Got it. That's part of the first step in our big economic plan. We have to kick the homeless out. We got to hide them out. And then if we don't do that, everyone's going to lose their jobs. Got it.
Hopefully you and I will not be a part of that group. Hopefully we can get this turned around so that.
Well, I don't think you got to worry about that. You're good for the next 2 years.
No, I'm not. I serve at the pleasure. I could be gone tomorrow. I'm aware of that. I have no reason to believe I'm going to be there for another day or two. I'm there to fix a problem, and I'm trying to fix it. I was brought in at the first day the government shut down. I have no illusions about my longevity as in the unclassified service. I serve at the pleasure of the governor and lieutenant governor. If I can't get my job done, I'll be going the very next day. You've seen that. Directors and deputies at Parks and Rec and other departments, they come and go with the wind. Every time the administration changes, they change. But they try to bring in people that can resolve and solve the problems at hand. And if we can't do it, well, it's our time to step out. And if I can't get parks up and running, then, of course, I will step out. I do not plan to stay permanently with the Department of Parks and Rec. I'm there to try to provide a service.
Okay, John.
Doing the job that I'm hired to do. And that's the bottom line. You say I'm one of the highest paid, whatever that. People, I'm one of the lowest.
I didn't say you're one of the highest paid. I said you're high paid.
I am one of the, if I'm not, I am the lowest paid director with such huge responsibilities. Now, I'm hoping to do my job and do it as best I can with the limited resources available. But I also have people working there that are working hard. To be honest with you, if you look at my staffing pattern, I do not have any senior management in Parks and Rec in the divisions of Parks and Recreation. I do not have any mid-level managers whatsoever in the divisions of Parks and Recreation. They do not exist. It is me. And therefore, I have nobody else to blame or to say they didn't, because they do not exist. They have the vacancies. They're not funded. And whenever somebody resigns, that money is used to pay for utilities. Those positions aren't funded. So Parks and Rec systematically is being depleted and will disappear if we can't bring more people in. And at this time, I'm telling you, we cannot.
All right,
So
John, we're out. We got to run.
It's a bigger problem than what you're describing. You're trying to leave it with just one symptom that we see out there. There's a bigger problem behind all this. And if we don't stop this big drain on our economy right now, if we don't turn it around, it's going to be worse. You have to see the bigger picture, okay? There's a bigger thing happening, and we got to stop it. And our economy is in real bad shape right now, and it's going to get worse if we can't stop it. So we're trying to turn it around. Part of that, one small part of that is critical, is bringing back our parks, our tourist attractions, so we can get people to come in here, spend the money, have us pull taxes from it, provide jobs for people, and get our economy moving again. That is our biggest industry.
Okay.
Tourism.
Thank you, John. We got to run. John, I appreciate it. We got a lot of time. I'm going to go explain to Florencio Cepeda that, the economy.
Come in and I'll sit down a whole day with you and show you what's actually going on, so you get a better picture of what we're faced with. It is critical, Chris.
Yeah.
And I'm inviting you to come and you choose the day. I'll make myself available anytime.
Okay.
And you just come in, tell me you're coming in this morning or whatever morning, and I'll say, yes, come on in and join me and see what I'm faced with and see what other leaders in the government is faced with. It's not just me. So I was brought in during the crisis to try to resolve issues. Now I'm inviting you to come in and spend a day with me. And then if you tell me during that day what you think I should be doing, okay? You could come in today, tomorrow, you choose the day. And I want to hear, after spending a day with me, what you now have to say, other than criticizing me for not being compassionate, because I have been. I've talked to those people. I've met them. So if you want to see what's going on, come on out yourself and see it. I'll show it to you.
Okay, John,
It's
show
real,
me.
Chris.
Show me then when I go. Let's go.
Well, I'm waiting for you.
Okay, I'll check my schedule and then you can show me.
My schedule's full, but I'm open to you.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
See you. Wash your hands in your unworking bathroom. Boy, that was just about some. 7:24. We're going to take a little break. It's containing COVID. Good morning.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
With the new challenges we're all facing, First Hawaiian Bank wants to make sure you have access to your financial world. With FHB Online and our mobile app, we hope to make banking the least of your worries. Visit fhb.com/digital.
We hope that you and your loved ones are safe and healthy during the COVID-19 pandemic. It has been a challenging time for all, but now, more than ever, our cancer patients and caregivers need us. Although we are apart, we stand united in the fight against cancer. The American Cancer Society Guam is excited to announce our first virtual Relay for Life. Join us on Saturday, June 27th at 6:30 p.m. on KUAM TV 8, as well as on I-94 FM and streaming on KUAM News digital platforms. Cancer does not stop, and neither can we. On June 27th, let's celebrate together and fight cancer. Visit relayforlife.org/GuamGU to find out how you can participate in the 2020 virtual Relay for Life Guam.
It's not always easy trying something new. Sometimes you have to help your loved ones along. Nana is so used to her weekly trips to the bank that going online can be a little scary for her. But her grandson knows that banking online is safer and easier, so he's teaching her how to get started using Bank of Guam's online banking videos. Teaching is one way to show our loved ones we care, keep your family safe at home, and show them how to bank online. Find easy-to-use online banking tutorials at bankofguam.com or on our Instagram and Facebook pages. Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
Be healthy. Be informed with IT&E.
Ha'afare. When it comes to applying for unemployment benefits as it relates to the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance and Federal Pandemic Unemployment Compensation programs, the first thing you'll need to do is create an account and register on HireGuam.com. Utilizing this button rather than the Not Registered button at the upper right login box will ease the pool registration process as it was built specifically for the pool program. The first page you'll see is the welcome page that explains the pool program and the 10 scenarios of eligibility that caused unemployment. Read through it entirely, and if any pertain to you, click Next. Input your social security number and then re-enter to confirm. Notice at the top of the page, the eligibility section is completed and the registration process begins. In order to complete your registration process, you will be asked to provide the following: a username and password and select a security question, an email address, or if you don't have one, you will be required to create one with the link provided, your residential and mailing address if different, your preferred notification method to receive benefit notices and updates, any prior military or current military service, education, occupation, your preferred payment method, such as direct deposit or paper check. Now, if you opt for direct deposit, you will need to supply your bank account and routing number. And since these benefits are taxable, whether or not you would like your taxes withheld. When you see the page notifying you to proceed to make your PUA claim, you have completed the registration process and may continue to the work history portion of the claims process. Input your last employer data, job title, and employment information. When the system prompts you to enter your last day worked, make sure you enter the date in which your employment status was directly affected by COVID-19. For example, if you were furloughed on April 1st, 2020, but have since returned to work, you will enter April 1st and not yesterday. Complete the rest of your work history information and add as many past employers as needed. Once completed, you will be required to certify that all information is true and correct, that you are responsible to keep informed of program benefits and reading program material, and that you acknowledge that any false statements are punishable by law and could result in a fine, imprisonment, restitution, and a loss of future benefits. Read through PUA's to-do list and take note of the following. Immediately file your weekly claim. Report all income for the week to include tips, commissions, and gratuities, even if you have not yet been paid. If you return to your normal pre-pandemic work hours or return to work and make over $494, you must stop filing a weekly claim. You must be able and available for work. If you are offered your job back and refuse for a non-COVID related reason, you are no longer eligible to receive PUA benefits. And at PCOR 3, you must look for work by contacting at least 3 different employers about job openings. Be sure to upload a valid government-issued ID and supporting documents to strengthen your claim. Congratulations! You have completed the PUA claim filing process. It's time to file your weekly claim. Click on the File Your Weekly Claim button to proceed. Read through the explanation of the weekly certification process and advisories before proceeding. Notice that the weekly certification process begins the week in which you claimed as your last day of work. Answer each page honestly and input additional information as required. However, if you have since returned to work, be sure that on the weekly claim of the day you returned, you adjust your weekly earnings accordingly. Congratulations! You have filed your weekly claim. Make sure you file for all previous weeks you were affected to present. Now continue to file every week thereafter to receive unemployment benefits for those weeks. For more information on how the Guam Department of Labor can assist you, visit our website at dol.guam.gov.
The utility company suspended service disconnections in mid-March due to the COVID crisis emergency declaration, but announced today that as customers were allowed time to receive federal and local assistance, the disconnect policy will be back in force by next month. CCU member Simon Sanchez says the utilities realize that many individuals and businesses are still struggling, so
we adopted a resolution for both GWA and GPA to allow them to work with customers. It'll be on a case-by-case basis to set up a payment plan, and the payment plan could be for as long as 12 months.
He says bills cannot be forgiven, but GPA and GWA will work with customers to provide as much time as they can to catch up.
Everyone might be a little different, and depending on your unique circumstances, they just wanted the flexibility to say, here's a 3-month plan for Mr. Lecanto, here's a 6-month plan for Mr. Sanchez, and if they get to the end of that first agreed to plan and there's an issue, a challenge remains, that they have the flexibility to extend it for as much as another 6 months.
Under the payment plans, penalties and late fees, including interest, will be waived.
I packed all my stuff already, and I was at the clinic and then pharmacy, then I was called to come down here to speak up.
So you're homeless?
Yes.
And you've been staying here at Paseo, this
3
pavilion?
months.
How long?
3 months.
So for the whole COVID?
Yes. I was at GMH and EPAL for 9 months.
How did you become homeless?
My friend lost his job.
And what type of help have you gotten from the government of Guam staying here at this pavilion?
Nothing yet. Mr. Gutierrez, the former governor, came, as well as Mr. Suba, the head of the GFRS,
right,
and other people was there at the same time, and they did assess and ask us our needs. Public Health came also and did the testing. None of us got positive. I'm glad. Promised to get back to us. None have.
Ma'am, let me ask you, the government of Guam has been trying to house the homeless during this pandemic. They started with plans at Paseo. They scrapped that. They now said it's put out to bid. Do you feel like the homeless and helping the homeless on this island is not a priority?
Yeah, I do feel. I have a disability and I feel neglected in ways of getting us into a safe haven, shelter where so we don't catch the virus, but instead we're left behind. There was news, governor talking, Mr. Gutierrez making plans, but so far none yet. I put off a surgery 3 times because I need to be in a place where it's not open to air, at least for 3 days for recovery, but I can't do it.
What's your message to our elected leaders? It seems like they're either unwilling or unable to help the homeless. What's your message to them?
Please do something. And make it quick.
Where are you going to go tonight?
I don't know. Sad. Pressured. I don't know where to go. In the beginning, they said we can stay. Even the director for Parks and Rec came out, and he goes, "Don't worry, you guys can stay." But because there were other homeless that were making so much drama for the past few weeks. Yeah, it's too much. The police come by, but couldn't catch it on time. We have to suffer now for what they're doing. A lot of time, if you can see around, many of them don't want to clean up. And we suffer, those that want to clean. And you know, like me, look. All nice and neat. But we have to go.
This is not shelter. Not at all. This is a pavilion. Big difference.
Basically, they're kicking you out of here.
Well, and not much of a notice, you know, and it leaves us with no hope. We don't know where to go. This is my first experience being homeless. It's really a hard life. I hope that their eyes will open and do something for us. I only took my essentials. Because, you know, I don't want to carry that much with me. Otherwise, I got all my other stuff stored away. Just making do with what we have.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
With the new challenges we're all facing, First Hawaiian Bank wants to make sure you have access to your financial world. With FHB Online and our mobile app, we hope to make banking the least of your worries. Visit fhb.com/digital.
We hope that you and your loved ones are safe and healthy during the COVID-19 pandemic. It has been a challenging time for all, but now, more than ever, our cancer patients and caregivers need us. Although we are apart, we stand united in the fight against cancer. The American Cancer Society Guam is excited to announce our first virtual Relay for Life. Join us on Saturday, June 27th at 6:30 p.m. on KUAM TV 8, as well as on I-94 FM and streaming on KUAM News digital platforms. Cancer does not stop, and neither can we. On June 27th, let's celebrate together and fight cancer. Visit relayforlife.org/GuamGU to find out how you can participate in the 2020 virtual Relay for Life Guam.
Businesses continue to open up,
I'm just glad to be able to eat at a restaurant.
and that's putting people back to work.
My clients will no longer have gray hair, and I will have an income again.
But even as millions rejoin the workforce, others are joining the ranks of the unemployed. AT&T is the latest major corporation to announce layoffs. The company plans to close 250 stores and cut more than 3,400 jobs. Last week, 1.5 million Americans filed for unemployment benefits, a number slightly higher than expected. But the downward trend in claims since March continues.
There is a picture that is emerging that the economy probably bottomed in April and is now recovering. Where we go next, that's sort of uncertain, and how long this takes, also uncertain.
And there's plenty of uncertainty for the unemployed who have yet to receive any money. State agencies across the nation remain overwhelmed and understaffed with a backlog of applications.
In Frankfort, Kentucky, people stood in line for hours at an unemployment office trying to get some answers.
I've been spending 14 weeks trying to get in contact with somebody.
Kelsey Stewart came earlier in the week. The pregnant mom-to-be lost her job in March and hasn't seen a check because of an application problem.
My husband was laid off. We were laid off within weeks of each other. We bought a house a week before everything happened, and sorry.
Stewart was able to get help and expects to receive her money soon, but many others are still waiting. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
A little bit. DUB. Hey, let's go to the phone. Just keep it going here. 637-0094. Our doctor friend on the Governor's Physicians Advisory Group, Dr. Ho Wen. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning.
Good morning.
Rena, how are you?
We're doing okay. It's Friday.
Could be better.
Yeah, and so let's just start. We haven't talked to you all week, and I know there were like a couple physicians advisory meetings this week, right, Doc?
Yeah, we have two. We have one on Tuesday and one just last night. So, number one thing is that we just want to, the daycare and especially daycare, the information come out, I think, a little bit early than we thought it would come out, and I think it's just a miscommunication within, the PAC and public health. But I think we meet on Tuesday and correct it, so they would open at 50% is the enrollment. I think they have to go in and correct that, and not occupancy, but enrollment. So I think that there's a new correction going to come out, so that way.
No, it came out. It came out yesterday.
Came out yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay, but 50% not occupancy, but enrollment.
Right,
okay?
for child care facilities.
Right. And so that is I got a text from Doc Lonnie, one of our daycare friends, and we had a call with her earlier in the week, and that was a major problem, is that the capacity limits included the staff, and so it totally skewed their child to staff ratio. So I'm glad that was straightened out.
Yeah, no one gonna be functional at that 25% thing.
Right,
so
right.
I think everyone is kind of very happy to have them open, so they kind of triggered their finger a little bit early, but they next step to correct that. So I'm glad for the daycare center, because every one of us needs them, so that way people can go back to work.
What other issues did you guys touch on, Doc?
We talk about, a plan, long-term plan, a short-term plan on the incoming passenger, domestically and international, just because, our island right now is very safe, but we have very little case, but on the incoming case, on the new case, most likely will be from incoming passenger. So we have to have a short-term and a long-term plan. So that's what we discussed about last night, and it's not finished yet, So what the short-term plans, to know exactly what the prevalence of the virus coming in. We're going to ask and discuss with public health to have the approval to see if we can test 100% of the passengers that incoming the next two flights, especially from the Philippines, because right now we have a control environment. They are all in the government facility in the hotel, so we can basically test 100%. After most likely what we come up with 10 days after confinement, just because after 10 days of quarantine, you will catch about 9% plus of any virus that you have. So we're going to have to discuss with public health and get approval to go forward with that, the testing in the quarantine hotel.
Was there any discussion about the military service members that had tested positive for COVID-19 that were staying at the Reef Hotel?
Yeah, we did, and I think the military did a pretty swift action. They kind of checked everyone and I think they put it on base now. So and I think the general also give a very strict order on off limit on bars, restaurant and every place here for them. Just right now, just to confine them. So I think they're all off the reef at Anderson right now.
Do you know how many service members were at the reef?
Total, I think it's 8.
Oh no, the 8 positive. But in terms of like how many were staying there, were everyone in the unit moved, or just the 8 in isolation?
I think 100% here moved. They're all confined at Anderson.
Mm-hmm. Do you know how many?
No, that number is kind of not privileged to us, I don't think.
Wow, not privileged?
Well, this is a security thing. I think that sometimes they can tell you after work, but right now it's their job right now. It's just
security for them, but what about the security of the people of Guam?
But public health on top of them, though, they are working with them and tracing and do all the contacts. Anyone that, just like Dr. McClone said yesterday, anyone that come even close to anything in that hotel will be contacted, will be tested on all these people. So public health on their side, right now, because we have a very low case, the tracing team are doing a very good job and try to talk to all the people that, like I say, even you come within in a confinement in a hotel, they will trace and test you. So at that part, public health are working. So we're very confident of their ability to do that.
Okay.
So I think that's it's a learning lesson. As ever, this thing is coming every day. That's new. Like Dr. Mancona is saying, it's just basically the military has the ability to kind of confine people right away rather than ask for voluntary like we do. So it's something that we have to learn on outside too. One of the biggest things that we talked last night is that we as an island have to be kind of respect the home quarantine and home isolation. We cannot legally, involuntarily put someone on isolation. We have to actually go to court in order to put them involuntarily isolation.
Isolation or quarantine?
Isolation. Let's say you have a person that's positive and they're supposed to be isolated at home. But if they violate the isolation at home, you cannot come in there and protect them and force them into isolation somewhere. You actually have to go to court to do that. So it's very hard, and people have to understand that if they have a positive test and they're symptomatic, they have to respect other people around them by isolating themselves at home. But this is very important. It is a livelihood of the whole island, because if you don't respect people around you and go around when you have a symptom and you're positive for COVID-19, you really didn't respect anybody. And we have cases like that right now. I think that so what the PAC does is we're going to recommend the governor and the AG office to strictly enforce the law, because the law say that you can basically fine someone $1,000 or 1 year in jail. And you have to do that in order to protect everybody on this island. Hawaii is 5,000 fine and certain time in jail. So, and they do enforce that law. So everyone can scare and respect the law. But we have to start to do that, because right now, as you can see, we test a lot. I mean, public health go out there and test everybody, and they have very little. So we are one of the safest places that you can live right now, and we'd like to keep it that way.
So having said that, Doc, or was there discussions about the possible lifting of this public health state of emergency?
Yeah, I think we've core 3. People is sometime the end of this month. I think it's on the 25th or 26th sometime, guys. So when we're back to core 3, I mean, everything is almost back to normal already. we would not get to 4 just because we don't have a vaccine, no treatment.
But couldn't you be in PCOR 3 with a public health state of emergency still in effect?
We just, I think, pending on this incoming flight, we really are nervous on income. As you can see on the positive case so far right now, most of it is not because of our island. It's anyone that's coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So we just have to be very cautious in case if there's a surge out there because of the incoming resident. Right now, the only one that really are in the hotel facility is the PAL flight, just because Philippines is very hot right now. But again, if things in the U.S. are changing and other countries are changing, we just have to change as the rate of infection go up in certain areas. So can't let your guard down yet. Until then, everyone want to get out. It's an emergency thing, but again, we don't want to take a step backward either. I think once it's comfortable and we know what's the rate of people coming in, and we probably will lift that. But at this point, it's still a little bit too early, Sabrina.
Right. All right, Doc.
I know last week we talked about reopening of the bars, and you had explained to us the issues that you had with the reopening of them, and so now we open them 50% capacity.
Yeah.
Are you satisfied we're mitigating the measures? Because it went from 25 to, and I remember we talked to you, and you said that you were concerned that with the social distancing, and so I'm just wondering in the guidelines that they put out for 50% capacity, are you confident that we've addressed those concerns that you had?
Chris, we haven't had a chance to talk to the bar, the organization for the bar yet. So we probably will have to go back and invite them to the pack and talk to them. We talk to daycare a whole lot, but the bar one, I can tell you, we have to go back and see what they did and talk to them to see, how safe it is. So we kind of put a question mark in that one, but like I say, it's out there already. But we will have to go back in and take a look at them and ask them to kind of talk to the pack and see if we can assist them in doing something else to make sure that the patronage for the bar are safe to go in there.
We better hurry because they're opening in 7 minutes. The guidance said open 8 a.m. Friday.
Just like
I'm about to go get me a happy hour right now.
Just like the daycare, right? I mean, they it's okay for the open, but you can see the vast majority of daycare have not opened yet. They have to get the guideline now to go back and train their staff, and they're going to do in phase. Right? They're not going to go 50% right away. They're going to go small, and they will every week they reassess themselves. And basically, they're going to increase the number slowly to 50%, but they're not going to open 50% today. Their staff will need to get used to the new guidelines. So, and those and the organization, everyone daycare, they're so passionate. It's crazy. It's nice to see someone so passionate on their business. So our kids are safe with them. So. Again, dude, I'm not sure the bar open and get everyone in the same time. I don't know. We haven't had a chance to talk to them yet. But like I say, there's something that next week probably will invite them to talk to us and try to work with them to make sure everyone is safe. But we're going to try to put some message out there. And I really need you guys to help too. Is really the quarantine, isolation. Oh my God, it's really have to be very good on this one. We also will idea coming up, and I'm not sure it's going to be approved by the governor, but we like to have the mayor also get involved and help us in identify people in the village and make sure that if they, especially on isolation, that they stay on isolation. They cannot get out of the house if they're positive with a test and they're symptomatic. That's something that to me, you gotta respect other people, and the best part of each village is their mayor. Those mayor have lots of power, and they really like to keep the village safe. So that's one way we can explore. I haven't talked to you yet. No, that's some stuff that we just throw out there in order to make sure that we have some enforcement, some compliance. Because the public health cannot be everywhere. You know, they have a handful of people, and our island is big, and you cannot drive from Manila or north all the way down to the south to try to inspect someone's house. You know,
Right. Well, I mean, I'm sure they probably would be more than happy to help out. I mean, they've been asking for more information and more transparency from this administration from the jump. So I don't think that's really going to be a problem. But I wanted to ask you, because you're talking about isolation and the more need to monitor, has this become a problem?
Right now we have few problem, I say here and then. We identified one case in the family, but I can't really tell you what the case is. But it's kind of I'll say the number, about 50% of our people does not follow the quarantine rule.
Are we talking about
quarantine or isolation?
the
The
home
quarantine,
home quarantine? Okay.
Yeah, I mean about 50% of our population does not follow the home quarantine strictly, and that's something that for us to move forward and protect Guam, everyone have to be very compliant with that. That's no, we like people to stay home. We like the people to go home, but at a certain point, people gotta understand that there's a big risk that they're gonna walk around because they can expose everyone again. So, but now isolation different. You know, isolation. If you have mild symptoms and you don't need hospitalization, they can isolate themselves at home. And you know, that is where the most important part is, that when you talk about isolation, means that they are test positive.
No, I thought you said that you were wanting the mayor's help with the isolation and monitoring people who are isolation.
Yeah.
Was it isolation or quarantine?
The isolation one. The most important one. Is the one that you know, you are positive and you are staying home. You know, so we can't, on a free country, you can't lock people up in a hotel involuntarily, you know, on this part, you know, so you can try to get, you know, public health will go out to their home, make sure their home is safe to be isolated at home, but we really like for them to stay at home for 14 days and make sure that they don't spread the virus to anybody. So that's something I think the mayor can play a big role in it. But we have, like I say, it's a thing we throw on the table to make sure that that's our long-term thing for Guam, because this thing not going to get over anytime soon, guys. Until, you know, we have a vaccination or we have a treatment, it's going to go on. So that's something that we discuss about. The other one, the last thing we discussed about is behavioral health. You know, the last few months created a lot of stress on a lot of people with their job and all kind of stuff. So there's an increased case in drug use and alcohol use, and so we don't have enough behavioral health people on the island to help everyone. So we, Dr. Burke and the Guam Medical Board are trying to come up with some telemedicine and using psychiatrists off island in order to increase the availability of behavioral health specialists for people to call in and talk to them. So that's another area that we have to talk about in the past. So the meeting getting longer and longer.
Wow. less time for fishing, huh, Doc?
And there's no fish out there. It's nice though. But guys, please pass out the message. Say, people, you know, please respect each other and you know, help our island and our step in moving forward. And we are doing very good at this point. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Doc.
Thanks, Doc.
Wash your hands. Happy Father's Day.
Yeah, happy Father's Day.
Thank you so much. Okay, have a good day, guys.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
I'll see you. Bye. Dr. Hoa Nguyen, always great to get him on the show. It's not over. To keep washing your hands, and that's interesting. 50% of people are not adhering to the home quarantine.
Yeah.
You guys on home quarantine, please stay home. Maybe we got to bring back our stay home promo.
Right. It's also interesting that, now you want the mayors to help. Okay.
Hey, we're KUAM FM, Agani Guam. We're at the top of the hour. Good morning to our viewers on KUAM TV 11. We're going to take a short break, play our anthems. We'll jump into some news. And we also have Art Paris from the Guam Power Authority coming on to tell us how they're going to make it easier for you to pay those COVID power bills. That's all coming up right here on Containing COVID. Good morning.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
With the new challenges we're all facing, First Hawaiian Bank wants to make sure you have access to your financial world. With FHB Online and our mobile app, we hope to make banking the least of your worries. Visit fhb.com/digital.
We hope that you and your loved ones are safe and healthy during the COVID-19 pandemic. It has been a challenging time for all, but now, more than ever, our cancer patients and caregivers need us. Although we are apart, we stand united in the fight against cancer. The American Cancer Society Guam is excited to announce our first virtual Relay for Life. Join us on Saturday, June 27th at 6:30 p.m. on KUAM TV 8, as well as on I-94 FM and streaming on KUAM News digital platforms. Cancer does not stop, and neither can we. On June 27th, let's celebrate together and fight cancer. Visit relayforlife.org/GuamGU to find out how you can participate in the 2020 virtual Relay for Life Guam.
It's not always easy trying something new. Sometimes you have to help your loved ones along. Nana is so used to her weekly trips to the bank that going online can be a little scary for her. But her grandson knows that banking online is safer and easier, so he's teaching her how to get started using Bank of Guam's online banking videos. Teaching is one way to show our loved ones we care, keep your family safe at home, and show them how to bank online. Find easy-to-use online banking tutorials at bankofguam.com or on our Instagram and Facebook pages. Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
Be healthy. Be informed with IT&D. Be healthy. Be informed with IT&E.
Vanogit samoru purita nonda kantai mantunat nyagi toru ilugar para honra para gloria abibai islasen para honra para gloria.
Calm down.
Yeah. I still can't believe John Birch told you to listen here. Like, whoa, there.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Could I
He didn't say
offer?
listen here. He said listen up.
Could I offer perspective from where I'm sitting? Because I'm here behind the iPad, like running. The comments. I mean, the comments and the number of views that we've gotten on today's show are the most they've been in a month. And I mean, this is Guam's #1 interactive morning talk show.
Yeah.
By a wide margin, and we're not, being narcissistic because of that. We work hard, and it's because of our viewers and the engagement that we've been able to create, right?
And I feel like we go in on issues that people care about and they want to hear about and they want to talk about, issues that affect, I mean,
okay,
the homeless.
and for a data nerd like me, that's how I get my jollies. I mean, people are still in the comment stream right now. People are still talking about the homeless issue. We did that interview 50 minutes ago.
Yeah.
It's like we're still on it right now. I mean, but people were offering really interesting perspectives, both pro and con. They were saying, yes, the homeless should be the priority. Other people were saying, okay, the homeless are important, but the economy should be the priority. And, and that's what you want. And
but it shouldn't really be one or the other. It
Right.
they should just find, I mean, don't put people out. They're already on the street, but don't put them out on the street again without a solution. That's
and that
all
is the
I'm saying.
nature of the problem. Is it's
Yeah.
it's not so cut and dry that you can just say A or B.
And I think with John, what the problem I had was that he really minimalized that these people are human beings. That's all. That's where I'm coming from. It's like we're talking about living, breathing human beings, and not every one of them is trashing the parks. And then I also just heard a lot of, oh, we don't have the budget. I'm just tired of hearing it, really.
I'm tired of hearing about there's no plan. There's no hardened shelter. And we've been talking about this for months.
COVID's over. It's pretty much over already, and they're still not housed. So. And, I spent the whole day with them, and it was just, I like talking to people, and was talking to this group. There's about 3 or 4 of them. They're, and, I don't even know if I want to say where they're staying because I feel like they're going to go kick everyone out. But they're staying in Agotnia, okay, and they're not staying at Paseo. There's one guy who was at Paseo who actually went to go, well, in the course of the time I was there, he went from Paseo and walked over to this other encampment. There's a few in Agotnia, and some of the homeless were telling me that they were told, just go over to that other park or just go over here or wherever, just as long as it's not Paseo or too visible. So these guys are telling me, like, it's been a struggle for them, and the reason why they go to the parks, guys, it's because it's government of Guam property. You can't just go roll up on a business and sleep, at the front door of the business. So these people are sleeping at these parks because it's public property, and they're part of the public. And I can see what John is saying about the trash, but that's kind of his job, right? And so these guys are telling me they used to sleep here. They got chased out. They slept under the bridge. They got chased out. They sleep at Serena Park. They get chased out. They went to Paseo because there's supposed to be a shelter there. There's no shelter. They get chased out. So it's very frustrating, and I see both sides of it, but I'm just not comfortable with our island. It's not really our culture to treat people like this.
You get the notice that day of, same day.
This is just,
by the end of the day, get out of here. Find another place.
And you know what, Chris? You know what really impacted me yesterday because when you were down there, and for people that don't know, like all that video that we got in the interview that you had, you went and talked to these people, and like you said, you spent the majority of the afternoon there. You shot all that yourself, basically captured everything. And in chat, you've always been like a really funny guy. That's your character, and you're always dropping punchlines and one-liners all the time. When you were back in communication in our WhatsApp group chat yesterday about the conditions down there, you were eerily stoic.
Yeah,
I mean, just unbelievably.
It got to me, man.
And it really drove home. It's like, wow.
It should though. It should get to you guys.
No, yeah,
it should.
But coming from you, Mr. Saturday Night, Mr.
Okay.
Ha Ha. No, I mean, I mean that's your personality, right? But just the fact that when you're doing, you're like, yeah, it's really busy down there. Heartbreaking. Period. I was like, wow.
I mean, people know we take the issues, especially for the little people, man. That's kind of like my center. It's where I try and come from and think about,
You root for the underdog.
The poor and the disadvantaged. And talking with that Florencia Cepeda, it was just, it was heartbreaking because she said, where am I going to go? And, when you talk about the homeless trash in the parks, she was telling me that, yeah, they do, and it affects those who don't. I mean, you saw it in the interview there, and her area was, I mean, as far as like making a little house in a pavilion at a beach park, it was pretty neat.
And you could see in that video, I know we're going to play it at least, probably once more during today's show, but she had that really long dialogue with you and talking about like her conditions and what she's been through and everything. Only when she heard herself say, and she goes, I don't know where I'm going to go. She really broke down. I mean, you went, and from that perspective, yeah, when you hear yourself say it, it's like, wow, the reality really sets in. And I mean, oh gosh, it just,
and that's what
it just,
people are engaging with, is that they're engaging with this struggle that these people are going through.
Yeah, nobody disputes that we have to take care of the homeless because as you drove home, Bree, in that segment, these are Guamanians, these are our neighbors. we're probably related to many, if not all of them, on some level. Inafamaulig dictates that we have to take care of them anyway, because that's who we are as a people. But nobody's disputing that we don't want our parks clean, that we don't all have to do what we can to keep our island beautiful, that we can't take care of our neighbors. But, you know, it's, like you said, it's a really difficult problem.
Yeah, we just got to get it together, guys. Let's go. Get the shelter. 8:17. On that note, let's go right into news here with a dive into the day's COVID-19 headlines with the very latest. Good morning, Sabrina Salas Mantanani.
Half a day, good morning. We start with the latest numbers released last night at around 8:30 by the Joint Information Center. 323 people were tested on Thursday by Public Health and one returned positive for COVID-19. Earlier in the day, though, the Department of Defense confirmed an additional 4 tests. They are military service members identified through contact tracing and are part of a unit deployed to Anderson Air Force Base that were staying at the Reef Hotel in Tumon. Since Friday, June 12th, there have been a total of 8 confirmed cases within this particular military unit. All the service members have been placed in isolation and under investigation. Today, the total count of COVID cases is 193, 5 deaths, 170 recoveries, and 18 active cases. There is no community testing today, but things ramp back up next Tuesday with drive-through testing scheduled for 9 a.m. to 12 noon in Barrigada at the Coban parking lot next to the community center. You don't have to have symptoms, just show up and bring an ID. Effective today, at this hour, bars, taverns, bowling alleys, travel agencies, museums, zoos, and aquariums are allowed to reopen. Public Health, meanwhile, has issued revised guidelines for child care facilities, which were allowed to reopen this past Monday at 25% occupancy. That has since been revised to no more than 50% of child enrollment. Bars and taverns will also be allowed to open at 50% occupancy. Disconnections for non-payment of power or water bills will start back up again on July 1st. But the CCU says customers still facing financial hardships can come in and work out an extended payment plan. Nestor Lecanto reports.
The utility company suspended service disconnections in mid-March due to the COVID crisis emergency declaration, but announced today that as customers were allowed time to receive federal and local assistance, the disconnect policy will be back in force by next month. CCU member Simon Sanchez says the utilities realize that many individuals and businesses are still struggling, so
we adopted a resolution for both GWA and GPA to allow them to work with customers. It'll be on a case-by-case basis to set up a payment plan, and the payment plan could be for as long as 12 months.
He says bills cannot be forgiven, but GPA and GWA will work with customers to provide as much time as they can to catch up.
Everyone might be a little different, and depending on your unique circumstances, they just wanted the flexibility to say, here's a 3-month plan for Mr. Lecanto, here's a 6-month plan for Mr. Sanchez, and if they get to the end of that first agreed to plan and there's an issue, a challenge remains, that they have the flexibility to extend it for as much as another 6 months.
Under the payment plans, penalties and late fees, including interest, will be waived.
Homeless that have been sheltering at the Paseo in Hagåtña were told to move out yesterday. Plans to house them during the COVID crisis have been talked about by the administration for months, but nothing has materialized.
I packed all my stuff already, and I was at the clinic and then pharmacy, then I was called to come down here to speak up.
So you're homeless?
Yes.
And you've been staying here at Paseo, this
3
pavilion?
months.
How
Yeah.
long?
3 months.
So for the whole COVID?
Yes. I was at GMH and EPAL for 9 months.
How did you become homeless?
My friend lost his job.
And what type of help have you gotten from the government of Guam staying here at this pavilion?
Nothing yet. Mr. Gutierrez, the former governor, came, as well as Mr. Silva, the head of the GFRS, right, and other people was there at the same time, and they did assess and ask us our needs. Public Health came also and did the testing. None of us got positive. I'm glad. Promised to get back to us. None have.
Ma'am, let me ask you, the government of Guam has been trying to house the homeless during this pandemic. They started with plans at Paseo. They scrapped that. They now said it's put out to bid. Do you feel like the homeless and helping the homeless on this island is not a priority?
Yeah, I do feel. I have a disability and I feel neglected in ways of getting us into a safe haven, shelter so we don't catch the virus, but instead we're left behind. There was news, governor talking, Mr. Gutierrez making plans, but so far none yet. I put off a surgery 3 times because I need to be in a place where it's not open to air, at least for 3 days for recovery, but I can't do it.
What's your message to our elected leaders? It seems like they're either unwilling or unable to help the homeless. What's your message to them?
Please do something and make it quick.
Where are you gonna go tonight?
I don't know. Sad. Pressured. I don't know what to go. In the beginning, they said we can stay. Even the director for Parks and Rec came out, and he goes, "Don't worry, you guys can stay." But because there were other homeless that were making so much drama for the past few weeks, yeah, it's too much. The police come by, but couldn't catch it on time. We have to suffer now for what they're doing. A lot of time, if you can see around, many of them don't want to clean up, and we suffer. Those that want to clean, and like me, look, all nice and neat. But we have to go.
This is not shelter. Not at all. This is a pavilion. Big difference.
Basically, they're kicking you out of here.
Well, and not much of a notice, and it leaves us with no hope. We don't know where to go. This is my first experience being homeless. It's really a hard life. I hope that their eyes will open and do something for us. I already took my essentials. Because, I don't want to carry that much with me. Otherwise, I got all my other stuff stored away.
Director John Birch was on our show earlier today, and he said it wasn't just homeless people at Paseo that were kicked out. It was other public parks to make room so that they could clean up the parks and get ready to revitalize our economy. Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio was on containing COVID. Meanwhile, earlier this week, he says they had to redo the RFP for the 4th time. He says he should have more answers on Monday in terms of a hardened shelter for the homeless. Governor Lou Leon Guerrero signed an executive order to address the mental health, drug, alcohol, and rehabilitation needs of inmates and detainees at the Department of Corrections. The Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center will stand up a satellite operation within DOC facilities with necessary personnel and resources to support programs to address those needs. GBHWC will be guided by National Rehabilitation Facility and Correctional Healthcare and Mental Healthcare accreditation standards. Attorney General Levin Camacho joins a coalition of 51 states and territories led by Connecticut following the 3rd lawsuit stemming from the ongoing antitrust investigation into a widespread conspiracy by generic drug manufacturers to artificially inflate and manipulate prices, reduce competition, and unreasonably restrain trade for generic drugs sold across the country. The new complaint filed in the U.S. District Court for the District of Connecticut focuses on 80 topical generic drugs that account for billions of dollars of sales in the United States. The topical drugs at the center of the complaint include creams, gels, lotions, ointments, shampoos, and solutions used to treat a variety of skin conditions, pain, and allergies. The products are sold by 26 corporate defendants and 10 individual defendants. In national news, the pandemic continues to claim jobs even as shops and offices resume business. Elise Preston reports.
Businesses continue to open up,
I'm just glad to be able to eat at a restaurant.
and that's putting people back to work.
My clients will no longer have gray hair, and I will have an income again.
But even as millions rejoin the workforce, others are joining the ranks of the unemployed. AT&T is the latest major corporation to announce layoffs. The company plans to close 250 stores and cut more than 3,400 jobs. Last week, 1.5 million Americans filed for unemployment benefits, a number slightly higher than expected. But the downward trend in claims since March continues.
There is a picture that is emerging that the economy probably bottomed in April and is now recovering. Where we go next, that's sort of uncertain, and how long this takes, also uncertain.
And there's plenty of uncertainty for the unemployed who have yet to receive any money. State agencies across the nation remain overwhelmed and understaffed with a backlog of applications.
In Frankfort, Kentucky, people stood in line for hours at an unemployment office trying to get some answers.
I've been spending 14 weeks trying to get in contact with somebody.
Kelsey Stewart came earlier in the week. The pregnant mom-to-be lost her job in March and hasn't seen a check because of an application problem.
My husband was laid off. We were laid off within weeks of each other. We bought a house a week before everything happened, and sorry.
Stewart was able to get help and expects to receive her money soon, but many others are still waiting. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
671 report. Don't be intimidated by pressure, threats, or confusion tactics of scammers. Scammers often use scare tactics and coerce victims into acting quickly before they can look deeper into their lives. Never respond to threats and or demands for payment of your personal information. Learn about how legitimate businesses or government agencies might contact you by visiting their website or calling a number that you know to be genuine. That is your Banking 671 report, brought to you by the Bank of Guam and Coast 360. And finally, get ready to lace up your running shoes. Guam's premier running event is going virtual. The 2020 United Airlines Guam Marathon will be converted into a week-long virtual race event that will be held from September 5th through the 13th and will be rebranded as UGM 2020 Goes Virtual. According to Ben Ferguson, the event director, Guam Sports Events Inc., we do more than promote fitness and health. We also promote Guam as a sports tourism destination that draws worldwide attention. With this in mind, we have continued to monitor all developments regarding the COVID-19 pandemic within the Asia-Pacific region and how this issue affects both our international and local participants. Given these challenges, we believe this is the most responsible way for us to hold the event this year. The virtual event is free to all current UGM 2020 registrants, and they are automatically entered to participate. In addition, all current UGM 2020 registrants will be automatically deferred to 2021 at no additional cost. New registrants are welcome to participate in the 5K, 10K, half marathon, or full marathon virtual run. Online registration will begin July 1st. Participants in the virtual event can complete their selected race distances within the virtual race event week while following their country's social distancing guidelines. To learn more about the virtual event, go to UnitedGuamMarathon.com or find them on Facebook or Instagram. And really quickly, I wanted to give a shout out because I know the UFC is this weekend, and we've got one of our own, Frank the Crank Camacho.
You're not saying it right.
Okay, say it then.
Krang.
Krang?
With a G.
Right.
Okay, that's like when you said like sandwich is actually sandwich. Sandwich.
Yes,
okay.
That's how they pronounce it at the end of my Krang.
Krang. There's also my son's jiu-jitsu coach in Vegas. He's signed and it's his debut.
Wow. And
It's
so
pretty
these
cool.
fights, they like no fans, right? You got
I don't
no
think
fans.
So. I don't think so.
You know, as a fan of sports, it is really, really bizarre at first to watch. I mean, I've seen WWE events.
Mm-hmm.
Pro wrestling with no people in the arena is wild.
Wow.
Did you say with no people?
With absolutely no. I mean, they you know the guys still come out. They they do their shtick, their promo, and everything like that. Sometimes they'll pipe in like crowd noise for ambiance and everything. But
Yeah.
I mean, it is nuts. And I'm hearing that that's what they might do for college football coming up. Is they're actually gonna to try and get the players to compete at a high level. They're gonna have artificial crowd applause and boos.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm interested to see how this year's if there's going to be any sort of interscholastic sports or anything like that, or if it's going to be delayed.
Right.
or
Well,
sit
they're doing
out.
the esports thing, so I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean
And
like
that's getting big
contact.
too, yeah.
You know, like
Right.
the football. And
Yeah. So our guidance right now allows unorganized.
Is it unorganized?
Contact sports, I
Unorganized,
think.
unofficial
organized
contact sport.
allows. Organized is allowed, right?
Are you sure?
So basically, if you have
There's
like
so many guidelines and they change.
no, what is it?
rapidly.
So if you have like a rec league or a village, tournament or something like a
I think it is basically no leagues. It's if you're just doing a pickup game, that's
Yeah.
cool. But people have been playing ball ever since. How many times we got a video of they're playing basketball in Santa Barbara? Dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just also wanted to add that, bars are open today, 8 o'clock. That's great. Restaurants have been open for the past couple weeks. For one, I'm really, really stoked that museums, plural. So we've got the Guam Museum proper down in Agana, and then,
Yeah.
right down the street, we've got, the late John Gerber's War Museum.
They got the Jeff Pirates Cove Museum.
There you go. Thank you. But zoos and aquariums.
Yeah. Zoos. What other zoo is there? We just want to be like the States and put an S.
Okay, Cushing Zoo, which is awesome. How many times did you go to Cushing when
I've been
we
there.
were kids?
Yeah, I'm a fan.
Every single year, field trip was always to Cushing Zoo, right? You
Yeah.
go down to Tumon,
Yep.
you get blown away by the alligator, you see the emu and everything like that. And then I guess Underwater World, because technically that's the aquarium.
Right.
But that's awesome. Now we got
Cool.
things to do.
And I think part of it was that with the zoos and the museums, you go on the tour with a group of people, right?
Yeah.
So when you go in, they have they're called docents. Did
Yeah.
you know that? I learned a new word yesterday.
Oh, down at the
Museum. No, the people in the museums who take you around on the little this is a and this is
Yeah, the kids they get trained for that, and
Yeah.
I think they get a stipend.
because we're actually getting Dominica from the museum on for our good note at the end of the
Nice.
show, and she sent me pictures, and there was one I saw they put out a press release, and it was like docent and they named the person, and I had to ask Lacey, who's our resident $5 power word lady in the back. It's like, what's a docent?
Well, in our
I was like,
experience, Sabrina, you and I covered the. Okay. I'm still gonna say Discovery Day because that's what I grew up calling it. But now it's a Guam History and Heritage, and mark your calendar because this is an awesome day in Umatic Day.
Mm-hmm.
But the docents down there, I mean, our friend John Kanata with the Humatec Heritage Foundation.
Joe Kanata.
Joe Kanata. I'm sorry.
Your friend John.
Different.
Yeah. They are unbelievably trained. Those kids, I mean, they memorize their lines. They are
Yeah.
well informed.
That's exactly what Lacey said.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were down there, we did that episode of In the Mix, the special, and we spent all day down in beautiful Umatic by
Yeah.
the sea, and the kids are, I mean, they take ownership of their village.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah. So.
Thanks, Jay. Anything else you want to add?
Believe it or not, I'm at a loss for words.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Well, give it a minute.
Yeah.
I know.
Something completely irrelevant will come to me. I'm sure.
Right, 8:35. Let's go over to the phones where we have from the Guam Power Authority. Art Pear is here to talk about the new. It's a year-long. Has it got a fancy name, Art? Is it like the COVID Payment Protection Program? COVID Power
Well, you got
Payment
Plan.
Plan.
Partly right there. The COVID payment plan, and what commissioners have passed earlier this week is a 12-month. excuse me, a 12-month payment plan to help customers.
You all right?
Have you been tested for COVID, Art? They're doing a community testing.
You know what? It's funny you said that. I've passed several times.
Wow.
Just to make sure. Just to make sure. But I don't exactly like that Q-tip going far back. But
Man.
you know what? It takes go far back, take a hard left, and then it just stings something back there.
Hard left. I think when I got mine, they took a hard right.
All right.
Must not
So
like me.
They hit the other side.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, this is for a COVID payment plan, where customers who are disadvantaged, who are experiencing those financial hardships, can enter up to a 12-month payment plan with both water or power. They can communicate with GPA via phone. GPA will be 647-5787, and with Waterworks it'll be 647-7800 or 7803. They can also communicate with both utilities. For GPA, it'll be customers first at gpagwa.com, or for commercial customers, business first at gpagwa.com. And they'll communicate their situation, speak with a customer service rep, let them know that they want to get into the COVID payment plan, and they'll work that payment plan going up to 12 months again. And customer service reps, Chris and Bree, would do it on a case-by-case basis, and they'll determine, what's workable for the customer. I think what's important is to communicate that you want to get into this plan, get on it before the 1st of July. I know there's been out there in the community, there's some people. Well, is it 12 days or 12 months? No, it's a 12-month payment plan, and we have to begin that 12th month at a certain date so we can track it. So July 1st would be that date. So communicate with both water or power, and before the 1st. So we have some time to do that, and we're going to keep all the available payment options open and available. You can do it either through payment app, payment by phone, pay by mail, drop boxes, or our satellite offices, or even the drive-through. Don't forget, we still have the drive-through two drive-through portals here at Vidian, at the Gloria B. Nelson Public Service Building, and that's available from 7:30 to 3:30 daily. So visit us, make the payments, and get those payment arrangements in place while the relief efforts are ongoing. You can communicate that with either utility and work out those payment plans.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
Ladies
go
first.
ahead.
No. I don't want to say.
Hey, listen. Go ahead.
No, I don't want to listen.
Okay, then I guess I'll go. Did you guys see, or do you have any numbers or anything like that to give us an idea of just how many ratepayers were not able to keep up with their payments because of COVID?
Well, I don't have hard numbers, Bree, but I know it's up there. It's a couple thousand of them are undergoing the hardship, and I want to just communicate that we're very empathetic to that. We understand, we're a part of this island community. That sentiment's been expressed from our CCU to management down to all our employees. We understand what's going on, and we want to work it out with them. Of course, we cannot give free power, free water services, but we're going to work it out with customers on a case-by-case basis so we can get them through this. And what we do not want is a disruption of services. What we want to do is continue that to get them through this and to keep those services on.
Do you have a percentage?
Excuse me?
Do you have a percentage? Maybe.
How about just a ballpark, a guesstimate?
I don't want to do a guesstimate without some hard numbers, Chris and Bree. I just know that there's many of them out there.
Right.
I hear it almost every day from calls coming in.
Yeah.
What can we do? What can GP do to help us out? And I'm glad that we're rolling out this plan.
This is anecdotal, Art, but there are 4 people in this room, and I'm assuming 2 of them are having a hard time with their power. So.
Well, give us a call, and let's work out that payment plan.
Okay. Art, what about consumption? We've had Simon on a couple of times. We haven't been able to talk about consumption. What were people's bills, water, power, looking like during the stay-home orders?
I know that, well, we'll consider this, though, Chris. I know that a lot of people were staying home, including my family, and our consumption went up a little bit. Now, be mindful that we were able to lower, at least on the GPA side, the fuel recovery charge at least 3 times since the beginning of this year, so that helped. And just having the kids home, made it a lot. They have a lot of things to do at the house. They're playing the video games. They're online and so forth. The aircon's on more than usual. But actually, for our household, it just crept up a little bit. And the offset with the lowering of the fuel recovery charge at least 3 times did help out. But that's my household. I don't know what everybody else's own is. I don't want to use my our example because I knew going forward that this.
You know all the tricks too, Art, because you work at GPA, so you know how to like flip. You turn the aircon on like that way at 45-degree angle, and it reduces the consumption by 4%.
It's funny you mentioned that, Chris, because we have a whole bunch of those tricks and tips and so forth on our website.
I know.
You can learn what it is to help circulate the air around the house a little more than normally.
We got you, Art. Let's talk about that with the aircon, right? Because I have a friend that works at GPA, and we always talk about this. Is it better to leave the aircon on all day, or is it better to turn it off and turn it on?
Mm-hmm.
I would just turn it off, Chris. I mean, if it's on and nobody's home, I mean, who's benefiting from that? And if we come home and we turn it on, at the most 15 minutes, and then you can turn on an oscillating fan or a ceiling fan to help circulate the air. I mean, that'll cool off the house a lot quicker. And then if you're like me and you plow the roof with all that heat reflecting paint, then
that's another trick, right?
Yeah, well, another trick, another technique, another recommendation, and I'm lucky enough in Cañada where we have some shade trees to cool off that part of the house. Where in the morning and then towards the afternoon, where the shade covers that wall, and it doesn't heat up and the windows open up and things like that. Oh, and you know what? Another thing, Chris, is important, and a lot of people may not appreciate this. Keeping those aircon filters clean makes a big difference.
It does, because or else the aircon has to work so much harder, right?
That's correct, and even the grill on the outside. If you don't have that protective sealing and wash it down once in a while, that dirt and mildew will build up, and it'll just make it even harder for your unit to work.
What about the water heater, Art?
In my household, we have a timer.
Okay.
We have a timer. I know sometimes when we have these short intermittent outages, it throws the clock off, but it's easy to reset. And I would recommend that you have a certified electrician do that installation. I mean, just to follow the instructions with the product is a little bit tricky, and a certified electrician can best interpret that and hook it up safe for you.
What if you don't have a timer and you got the whole, the box thing? I forget what's it called.
Flip the breaker.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people who do that, but yeah. I would just recommend against that. I mean, if you go to the breaker box, the circuit panel, that's a little bit more dangerous than just flipping the disconnect switch where you're at. But a lot of people I know do that. They go to the disconnect switch, not the circuit panel, disconnect switch and shut it off from there. But just for me to do that, I would just set up a timer. Might as well, you can set a timer and forget about it and make sure that it's on for an hour in the morning, 2 hours in the evening, and then you have enough hot water in your tank for everybody. You know what? I don't know what it is, but I never get the hot water coming home. It's always finished up by the time I get back.
Yeah, I grew up with no hot water.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. There wasn't any need for any hot water, but nowadays I guess you need it for a lot of other things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because so that's why I just leave it on anyway. It's just something I'm like, I never want to have no hot water again now that I've made it. That's my family. That's how you make it. You got hot water? Yep, he made it.
Yeah, you made it. That's it.
Jay?
Oh, I was also going to say there is that thing about like when someone else in your house is showering, don't flush the toilet. Because you will give them a very, very shocking surprise.
And the settings, you would just look at what you can tolerate and so forth. But, don't make it too hot where it's scalding hot.
Well, you guys are high tech. I just have the old one. You got a timer that massages you when you turn it on?
Sure. What we do in the household is set it to a point where you could just leave it on and just forget the cold water. Just leave the hot water on, and it's comfortable and warm enough where you could use that for your whole shower.
All right, Art. Anything else? So maybe.
No, that's about it, Chris.
Okay.
I mean, just to get into this 12-month payment plan, please communicate with both water and power. Get on it if you need it. It doesn't have to be up to 12 months, but please communicate that with the utilities, because again, the last thing we want to do is interrupt your service to your home or business.
All right, thanks, Art.
Thank you, Art, so much.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Anytime. Yep. You want to call us next week and announce you're lowering the bills, we'll get you on right away.
All right, Chris. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Art. Wash your hands.
Take care.
Okay. 8:47. Good guy, Art Paris. We'll take a short break and get ready, guys. We're going to go behind bars with Major Anton Ogden next on Containing COVID.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
With the new challenges we're all facing, First Hawaiian Bank wants to make sure you have access to your financial world. With FHB Online and our mobile app, we hope to make banking the least of your worries. Visit fhb.com/digital.
We hope that you and your loved ones are safe and healthy during the COVID-19 pandemic. It has been a challenging time for all, but now, more than ever, our cancer patients and caregivers need us. Although we are apart, we stand united in the fight against cancer. The American Cancer Society Guam is excited to announce our first virtual Relay for Life. Join us on Saturday, June 27th at 6:30 p.m. on KUAM TV 8, as well as on I-94 FM and streaming on KUAM News digital platforms. Cancer does not stop, and neither can we. On June 27th, let's celebrate together and fight cancer. Visit relayforlife.org/GuamGU to find out how you can participate in the 2020 virtual Relay for Life Guam.
Healthy. Be informed with ITD.
It's not always easy trying something new. Sometimes you have to help your loved ones along. Nana is so used to her weekly trips to the bank that going online can be a little scary for her. But her grandson knows that banking online is safer and easier. So he's teaching her how to get started using Bank of Guam's online banking videos. Teaching is one way to show our loved ones we care. Keep your family safe at home and show them how to bank online. Find easy-to-use online banking tutorials at bankofguam.com or on our Instagram and Facebook pages. Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
Ready, four-piece band. 8:52. It's Friday. Hey, it's proudly brought to you by Cabo Enterprises, Ambrose Inc., IT&E, Coast 360, and the Bank of Guam. It's containing COVID. Good morning to our viewers on KUAM TV 11. Thanks for joining us on the back half of the show. We do it every morning, 8 to 10, every weekday morning. We throw it up there for our Manamko who are drinking their coffee and dipping their biscuchu. Good morning, 8:53. Coming up, we always end the show on a good note, and we're going to highlight some people over at the museum doing some great things to help feed the homeless. Hot topic this morning, 8:53. Let's all go behind bars, though, now with Major Anton Uggan from the Department of Corrections. Good morning, Major.
Good morning, Chris.
How are you?
Hello?
Yeah,
Are you there?
Yeah, we're.
Tell us about this. Tell us about this executive order that the governor signed yesterday.
And this is opening is it like a ward or over at the
Clinic or
prison
something.
clinic led by behavioral health and wellness?
I don't know why I got feedback, but Chris, we're gonna be doing the same thing that we did basically with GMH, where GMH came in and took over started taking charge of our medical. So we're going to be doing the same thing with the Guam Behavioral. Is they will come in, they will have a satellite, basically set up a satellite office here. One of our housing units will be used primarily to house inmates or detainees with behavioral health issues. And basically it's a partnership. And the whole goal is to just be able to better serve the population, that type of population, with whatever needs they have.
Mm-hmm. Was
So
this
it's similar to what we do with GMH right now.
right? But what was done with GMH? I thought that was because of the consent decree or the stipulated order. Is this also part of it?
Yes, back in the stipulation order, it also included mental health, really.
Okay,
And-
so we're doing this because it's not like, oh, this is a great idea. It's because we have to.
Yeah, and again, it will help increase the services to that population. Again, when we did this with GMH, it has worked well for us. And so then again with Guam Behavioral coming here, it also benefit DOC because we would not have to transport the prisoners up to the facility as often as we do right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so with their staff being on the facility, they'll be with us here. Plus, in addition, the director will have access, the warden will have access to their employees and the management team, and we can quickly address inmate issues.
Do you have a number of inmates? Do you have an idea? Inmates, detainees that have been in need of this service, and only now this is being addressed?
No, I mean, it's always been addressed. Sabrina, we currently have a Dr. Tamanglo that's on board.
Right,
We have
that's right.
staff here. However, she's looking at retiring before the end of the fiscal year.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's looking at moving out. And so, a good portion of our population, they suffer various issues. Some of them, they're just behavioral issues. Others require medication to manage. And so we've always been providing it, but now we're looking at a way to step it up and maybe improve the services that we are providing.
So what's the difference between what you've always been providing and what you're now going to be providing?
Well, oftentimes, Chris, we have inmates or those with behavioral issues or that are a little bit more violent than others, right? And so sometimes what has to happen on our side is they get admitted to Guam Behavioral, but because of their behavior, we have to send officers up there to monitor them.
Right.
So because their staff up there, they don't have a facility up there sometimes to hold, to hold the people that, require special, cell arrangements. For example, again, they're violent, they want to break things, they need to be in a more controlled environment.
Mm-hmm.
And so we oftentimes find ourselves sending officers to be stationed up there just to provide assistance.
Right. And hasn't there been instances in which some of these inmates or detainees have actually escaped custody while at mental health?
Yes. And so what happens with those are the judge will order them to go to Guam Behavioral, and what it is a transfer of custody.
Right.
So the document would say DOC is to relinquish custody of this individual to Guam Behavioral. So we do that. And they get in Guam Behavioral's care. And again, we leave. We're required at that point to be there. So we just drop them off and we leave. And, there's been a few that decided to either walk away or just leave the facility on their own. And they just leave. So by putting them in an environment like here, their ability to just leave whenever they feel like it would be a lot less, and they can comply more with the court order to get their treatment. Because what happens is they get caught, they leave there, they go out there, they commit another crime, and they end up right back in our facility.
Right.
Yeah, on new charges now.
Sounds like it's going to be a very a key and much needed component there at the prison, Major.
Yeah, and it's nothing new, Chris. Most prisons in the mainland, most facilities, this is how they've had to deal with this type of population. It's nothing that's new, because most prisons are experiencing the same thing of what we're experiencing in regards to behavioral health and people with mental health issues that require medication. And so this is nothing new. It's just it's new for us here, but it's not a new concept in terms of how to handle these types of populations. So we're going to work with all the details have not been worked out yet. That's where management between both agencies will need to sit down and work on the MOU and spell out who exactly will be responsible for what and work out the budget details. And so it's not going to happen overnight.
Right. Who's going to have to pay for this? I mean, is it going to come from DOC's budget, or is it going to come from the Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center's budget?
And then also, Major, if you could tell us how long is it going to take to do all that? Because, got MOAs, MOUs, it's like they go up to the AG's office and die.
Well, I mean, it's already being worked on now. I mean, we do have a Dr. Timing Load here. We'll continue doing our current process. We do have, like I said, our behavioral staff here. And as far as who pays for what, that will be spelled out in the MOU. My understanding, just reading the order, for staff from Guam Behavior will be assigned here. We're going to, of course, have our officers. We identified a unit where they will be housed at. And so that's our part right now. Everything else will be worked out, I guess, when they start meeting to work out the finer details.
Are we thinking like months here, or?
No, I don't think it'll take that long. I mean, our Dr. Timing is leaving by the end of the fiscal year, so we would want to make sure we have something in place before she even leaves, so there could be a better transition of responsibilities.
Right. Major, can you give us an update on the status of the incoming? This is where the families of inmates and detainees bring in approved supplies.
Okay.
Right, and give them to the prisoners there. So what's the status on that?
So we're still going to be doing that at the end of the month. Probably around the 28th or so of June, into the first week of July. That's, it went well, the last one we did, so we will continue to do that again. Again, at the end of the month. They're working out the schedule right now. I mean, we're still not lifting visitation yet, so there's still going to be no visitation at this time. Right. We do have attorneys that are coming in and starting to see their clients. We've had a few do phone teleconference with their clients, and we're still working to provide all the services as best we can to everyone that needs it.
Man, Major, I forgot to call you. I think it was early at the beginning of the week. I got a call from I wasn't sure if he was an inmate or a detainee, but had told us that there was an incident involving the serving of dinner.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which house it was in, but apparently inmates were, from what I could gather, what they told me, they were served macaroni salad that was rotten. The food, they said that it smelled spoiled. And so they complained about it. The meals were taken back. And then from what this guy had told me, they weren't given dinner that night. Can you so that's what I got from them. You just tell me what we got from you.
Okay. Yeah, Chris. So first of all, the meal services that we provide to the inmates, we have a contract with the outside vendor that provides the 3 meals a day for the inmates. Now, on this particular day, it was the inmates at post 17. So the meals were served, and again, all the inmates in the department received the same meal, all 600 and some, except for those that have religious issues or religious or dietary needs. Then their meal may be a little different.
Right.
But all the remaining are served the same meal. So on this particular day, when the meals were served, they're served in a ready-to-go styrofoam container that each individually packed. So when they passed out the meals, some of the inmates, I guess the aroma of the food, maybe the mixture of the food, I'm not sure what, it didn't smell, right. So they didn't want to eat it. So they passed it out. They came to the officer. They complained. The officer collected the meals, and the supervisor came on board, looked at it, and even ate some of the meals to try it. We checked with the other units to see if they were having that issue, and it turns out the meals were not spoiled at all, because some, in fact, were already eating the meal when someone said, "Hey, I think it's bad," and then they joined the group and turned it all in. So when they turned it in, some of them didn't mark which meal was theirs. So when they turned it in, they weren't sure which was theirs. But once it was cleared to return and give it back to them that it was not bad, some of them still didn't want to eat it.
Because they weren't sure if the meal they got was the meal they got initially, and they didn't want to be eating someone else's spit germs. And I don't blame them.
And so, again, we do have an arrangement with the vendor, sir, that if the food is for some reason not consumable, you can't eat it, the vendor would of course replace the meals free of charge, right? In this particular case, but again, we have to show to the vendor that the meals, there is a legitimate reason why they need to be replaced. In this case, the meals were not bad. There was a few of the inmates that I guess decided not to eat it. They ate, some of them ate half of it and didn't want to eat the rest.
What was the meal, Major?
It was that macaroni. It was a macaroni, a dinner roll. It was macaroni, tuna, with some mixed vegetables. It was a dinner roll, and on a side tray was pineapple and watermelon, for the fruit.
So just to be honest, it wasn't bad, as in spoiled. It was just bad, like they didn't want to eat it. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, they just didn't want to eat it, and so they have the right to refuse it. And again, we have no problems replacing the meals. Even the vendor has no problems if they're the meals are not edible. But in this case, that's not the case.
Yeah.
And then in addition, the inmates didn't want to fill out. We have to make sure, Chris, that when we do these things, because we have a contract, so we have to make sure that when we do this, we have policies in place that say, okay, if you don't want to eat your meal, you need to sign this meal refusal form, so that we can properly document why we're replacing a meal. Because if we have to pay extra for these meals because it's at no fault to the vendor, then that's what we have to do. But some of these inmates decide, oh no, I don't want to sign that. I don't want to write a new refusal form, even though that's the policy. And so some of them may have went to bed that night with no dinner, but
it's their own fault.
Part of it was their choice. I mean, but again, we worked the situation. If that happens again, there will be another way of trying to address that. But again, the food was not spoiled, and we cannot fault the vendor for that. So I want to make sure that we understand that it was at no fault of the vendor. It just, and I don't know why I wasn't there, so I don't know what it smelled like.
Would you eat it, Major?
I mean, we do have in the contract, sir, that meals are supposed to be provided, a copy to the courtesy plate for the warden and for the director. But I have not, I'm not around the meals, so I don't really.
That's part of the contract, where the warden and the director get a free meal.
Yeah, upon request, if the director or the warden need a meal, they can actually get one for free, just to sample it.
How often do they do that request?
Occasionally, the warden will get one, or the director will get one. Not every time; it's just once in a while.
What are the good meals from this vendor, Major?
Say again.
What are the good meals? Because it sounds just like the tuna macaroni.
Yeah.
It just sounds like they're just not having it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was only, I think it was almost about, out of the 600 and some inmates, maybe 30 of them, maybe
30.
give or take, almost 30 that complained.
Okay.
And again, most of them, half of them were only because they were okay, they wanted to eat it, but because they turned it in and didn't mark
Right,
it
I see.
properly, they didn't know which was there, so they were like, oh, you know, I don't know which is mine here.
So do you feel they're kind of making a big deal out of this?
I mean, you know, food's important in prison, Chris. You know, basically, that's the highlight of the day.
Right.
Is the 3 square meals that they get. So, I mean, it's not unreasonable for them to complain when the thing's not you know, doesn't seem
Right, but if it just tastes bad, then you don't.
No.
That's not.
Yeah. Well, we talked to the vendor about it, and the vendor, I think, also decided not to serve that particular type.
No more macaroni salad.
Maybe not that way. I mean, maybe it was just a combination of the pineapple and the watermelon and the food all in the lid tray, because it's closed lid tray. So maybe when you first open it, the aroma of all those different foods, I don't know.
Who's the vendor again, Major?
It's S&H. S&H.
Oh, S&H.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't even know who's that.
Yeah. Well, they also go by California Mart.
I see.
Yeah. They've been our food vendor before in the past.
Right.
Right. So occasionally we do have these problems, and that's why in our contract it does say that if there is an issue, they will, of course, replace the meals for free. You know, things when it's spoiled or, you know, managed to determine.
What about a contraband update, Major?
Contraband. We've continued. We've had a few nuisance contraband. We've had some shakedowns in the last week. You know, in fact, just last night again, we shut down another unit. Random shakedowns. That's part of our, you know, daily activities now. We're not finding a lot of contraband, but you know, it's probably still there in some housing units, and you know, it's a continuing you know, everyday battle for us to manage the contraband.
Right.
You know, some of it's just nuisance contraband, different things like, you know, hoarding certain chemical cleaning supplies, or you know, having the broomstick in your room when you shouldn't have it, and you know, having too much of items in your room, and some of it's just basic general housekeeping. Other stuff we find, you know, tobacco, of course, is the big one that we find.
Major, I remember it was about 2 weeks ago, maybe, you had talked about the director wanted to get everyone tested. Then we spoke to you last week.
Yeah.
You said there wasn't an update, right? Do we have any update on that, or?
Yeah, I mean, there has been a continuous talk about it. Again, I think a lot of it just has to do with capacity, because, you know, we have 600 some people in the prison. And so we did talk about it yesterday. The director still wishes to test everybody, but I think we're taking our guidance at this point from public health. And, you know, the main issue, I think, just comes all the way down to capacity, the ability to test, and working on other logistical issues if we do decide to test, like separating them from each other, from those that want to be tested to those that don't want to be tested. So those are still things we would have to try to address. But as of now, we have not tested anyone.
Has there been anybody that's exhibited any sort of symptoms?
Not of today. As of today, I've not heard anything.
Okay.
And so we're still basically holding strong with whatever safety precautions we have in place.
Okay.
Okay, Major, is there anything else you want to add in there?
No. Well, we will be doing shortly. We're going to be hiring an additional 15 officers soon.
Okay.
Interviews in a few weeks for that. We have some promotions that are coming up in about a week or two. We're just waiting for the ratings to come out of DOA already. So we're going to be hiring also 2 parole officers. We've brought on board some clerk typists to help us administratively.
Right.
So again, we're trying to right size our staffing.
Right.
So it's little by little we're trying to get there.
You mentioned last week about efforts to promote teleconferencing or video teleconferencing for the hearings.
Right.
Where are you guys with that?
So right now, the Agana precinct, we'll keep calling it Agana precinct. We've got to come up with another name for that. But the former Agana precinct, it's still under renovation. We're working out the details on procuring the equipment. And, we still have constant meetings with the courts in regards to setting this process up.
Anything from the AG's office on the master plan?
Well, I did talk to the attorney last week, and he is, again, he's bombarded with other things, but he is working on it, and he assures me he's going to get it done real soon, and probably by next week I'll try to set up a meeting with him to work out. I mean, he's reviewing it, and it just takes a long time, I guess, but we're constantly following up on that, and hopefully we'll hear something soon.
Okay.
All right, Major.
Yeah, so.
Hey.
All right. Thanks, Anton.
Okay.
Have a good weekend.
Okay, you too.
Happy Father's Day.
You too, Chris. Happy Father's Day.
Okay, wash your hands, Major. Thank you. All right. Major Anton Uggan. Hey, let's keep it with our law enforcement theme. We just went behind bars. Now let's get our handcuffs out. Sergeant Paul Tapau.
Hi, Paul.
From the Guam Police Department. Good morning, Sarge.
Hey, Happy good morning.
You guys got a long night tonight, huh?
Yep. Yep, we sure do.
Right.
Is it a long night or long weekend? Is it just tonight or all weekend? The DWI.
We are moving into the weekend. So again, this is in line with our efforts with curbing and bringing down our fatality rates on the roadways. And one of the the three major factors in which we look into is, of course, speed, inattentive driving, and of course impaired driving. Mm-hmm. So the DWI campaign, Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over. It's in conjunction with what you see in the summertime with students being home for the holiday or for the summer break, and people celebrating from Memorial Day to 4th of July, and of course moving into the summer months. So this has always been in our calendar with the Guam Police Department, and I guess the irony to the story is the opening of the bars tonight. So it's going to be interesting.
What's your message, Sarge, to people who are going to be going out? I mean, they're going to get gadai. They just haven't been able to go anywhere. People have been pent up for months. Bars are open 50% capacity. Pretty sure we're going to see a lot of people out having a good time tonight. So what's your message to those people?
So, realistically, you said gadai, honestly, weekends are for rookies and people that haven't been out. We're anticipating things to happen, of course, when the opening of the establishment. But in all honesty and all in hindsight, it's really designating a responsible sober driver. We've seen too many fatalities. We're not talking about the arrests. We're not talking about the conviction. We're talking about the fatalities that are happening on the roadway. And there's a reason for the campaign. There's a reason why our efforts with Highway Patrol Division, we do deem ourselves as lifesavers. It's really just curbing down the fatalities, and I attributed the three major causes of crashes that occur. It's really, and one of them is impaired driving. So whether you choose to indulge in alcoholic beverages or pack a ball and indulge in recreational cannabis, designate a responsible sober driver while out celebrating, and we can all get through this.
Are you guys going to be also monitoring whether these bars are keeping to the 50% occupancy rate?
We're gonna be working. We've been working closely. The Guam Police Department has been working closely with the Department of Public Health and Social Service with the COVID, the operations of COVID-19, with just various things that come up. As you hear it on a constant, continuous basis, it's fluid. There's a lot of things that are happening. There's a lot of changes that are going on. But the Guam Police Department has been there since day one, and this may be another task in which we may, be asked to assist, but, nonetheless, the Guam Police Department was ready to step up and move forward. So,
are you guys rusty at all, Sarge? I mean, it's been a minute since you fired up the whole DWI, because it's a lot of stuff, right? You got the lights, you got that big...
No, we've actually been doing DWI checkpoints with the Drive Sober, Get Pulled Over campaign. So it's really, this is what we've been doing prior to COVID. So it's going to be interesting tonight.
Just like we also want to get just an update. There's been a lot of crazy crime news. So what can you tell us about just round robin, Sarge?
Other than what I've reported and what you've been seeing in the MAGIC reports, it's pretty much the basic crimes that we've been seeing. The one thing that I'm stressing is that robbery that happened last week in Claudia. We did put out a media PSA and asking for the assistance for the community, and it's just really remaining vigilant out there because of the fact that people are so tunnel vision with COVID-19. It's really there's a lot of things that are going on with our society and stuff, and crimes of opportunity do present itself, and not to become a victim, we really do still need to remain vigilant in what we do with dealing with COVID-19, and of course, vigilant with our surroundings and our protection of our well-being. So, understanding what we can do is really important as a community as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
But other than what you're seeing in the MAGIC reports and what we've been reporting, it's pretty much the same drug offenders, domestic violence, and so forth. And just to update, we are still working on the death investigation.
I was just going to ask.
Yeah, we're really waiting on an autopsy to be performed. So once the autopsy is performed and they move forward with the manner and the cause of death, we can actually move in the direction of where the investigation needs to go.
And this is there was a body found. I want to say.
Was it Mama?
Yes. And
yeah, Mama.
Yeah. So. This was classified as our investigators. This is the death investigation. So, really, the thing that's going to change our investigation, our thorough investigation, where it needs to go, is the autopsy. Mm-hmm. Once we determine the causation and the manner, that's going to, again, steer our investigators in the direction of where we need to go with this case.
Preliminarily,
how long ago was that, though?
Preliminarily, is there a thought that maybe foul play was involved? Is that why?
Hard to say this time. It really is. The autopsy really it paints the picture for us. It really the autopsy is critical at this moment. So
right, but that was over a month ago, so we haven't been able to get
earlier part of June.
Oh,
early part of June.
Yeah, earlier part of June.
Okay.
So it's really working with the the CME office, and of course getting a pathologist here on island is the challenge that we're facing. It's COVID and of course the quarantine and stuff. So. There's going to be delays. There's going to be, we're anticipating that. But once we get a pathologist out here to do the autopsy, then we can move forward with that.
I also wanted to ask about the shooting death of Juan Ogan in Maguila. Is there any update on that, Sarge?
Not at this time. We are still working that. That hasn't been classified as a cold case, and we're not going to classify that as a cold case. We still have a lot of things we need to cover still with that. So I know we haven't been reporting on that, but with I think that was last December when that incident happened to where we are now. Yeah. We continue to still work that case. The little information that we get from the investigators to revisiting and interviewing other people. So this case is still ongoing.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on the efforts in Washington on police reform?
I think Guam, and from where we are, there's a lot of chatter about community policing, and being in the community affairs side, we've been working with community-oriented policing services for the last 4 or 5 years, and Guam is really unique from where we are, and understanding, again. The culture that we have as Pacific Islanders, that line of respect, it made it somewhat easier for us to really adapt to community policing because we really stayed focused on the centric approach of Pacific Islanders and the needs of Pacific Islanders. So it made it easier for us as a department. But, the reforms in itself, that's really, we've been tracking community policing for the last 10 years.
Right.
The DOJ has been putting instructional tutorial information to agencies about how you can adapt a community-oriented policing program within your agency. So we picked up on that 5-6 years ago, and we started implementing various programs within our department. So I really feel that the Guam Police Department is ahead of the game when it comes to the community-oriented policing, and should there be a reform. And of course, we do know that President Trump had signed the executive order and really reshaping and restructuring the Guam police agencies nationwide. So these are things in which we are anticipating that may affect Guam. with, of course, grants, with different services that we can provide to the community. And, it really is a testament of what we've been doing in preparation for, not so to say preparation, but what we have been doing that really will put us in line to, I guess, be ahead of the game, so to say, or, be ready to provide the service that, when you look at the restructuring and everything, if they should move forward with that, we have something in play. So, our various community partners that we associated with, partnering with Maniatlu and the Mechanesian Research Center for the last 4 years has paid dividends for the Guam Police Department. We've actually been able to go into the Hamlani apartments in Harmon and be welcomed by the community members, by the kids, by the families. So understanding this has been always our effort.
Whoa.
It makes it easier for us should any reform come towards the Guam Police Department.
Where you at, Sarge?
You get a wave?
I'm out in a parking lot.
Oh, okay.
You waving with J.I. or what?
No. I'm out getting some sun. I do this on a.
I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you.
So sing Independiente there, Bree. Friday, I know it's Fiesta Friday, but
Sarge, what about the stand your ground issue?
Mm-hmm.
You guys have I don't think you have a stance on it, but you want to speak on that?
Yeah, I'm gonna defer any comments relative to the stand your ground. We'll still let the legislature duke it out and understand what they need to do. So until something comes, codified in law, then I guess we can opine, further with that initiative. But,
do you know if the police department submitted testimony, though? The chief of police?
To my knowledge, no, ma'am. I don't think we've submitted any testimony relative to that.
So you guys are just like not. It's you feel it's partisan maybe, and you just want to let them hammer it out, and then you'll figure out how you deal with it.
I think that's the best approach. Yes, I think that's the best approach. And again, I'm going to defer any comments relative to that, as this is really something that the legislature is going to hash out. But yeah, that's it'll be interesting.
Can we request a comment from the chief of police on this?
I can request it.
Yeah.
If you give me the questionnaires and everything, I can ask him and every stuff. So shouldn't be a problem.
We'd love to get him to call into the show one morning. It'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about?
I can coordinate with that.
Okay. How about the height designation? This is something that I interviewed the chief about last year,
Mm-hmm.
and now it looks like our AGs in the NMI and Guam have teamed up, and they're trying to get in with Hawaii as a high-intensity drug trafficking area, specifically because of the large presence of crystal methamphetamine, commonly known as ice, on Guam and in the Northern Marianas.
Yeah, we actually worked with the HIDA. I think there's phases in HIDA and getting as a designee or recognized as a high traffic area. So our initial phase with the HIDA was really presenting what Guam has seen in the past with crystal methamphetamine and of course Perpopolis and everything. So we do know that a petition was submitted. Then former Chief J.I. Cruz. Unfortunately, we didn't get designee, we didn't get recognized, and we didn't get approved for that. So that wasn't that it wasn't dead in the water. The AG has continued the efforts. And of course, with all other law enforcement agencies, I stepped up in ramping up the efforts in moving with the petition. So I guess understanding as doing it as a region, with not just Guam but also the Marianas and Hawaii, we can identify as a region, like what we do with what we call our Region 9 efforts. Within law enforcement, that's pretty much the region in which they're trying to identify.
All right. Well, thanks, Paul. I know you got a busy day and you guys got a busy night. Be safe out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this is a time where we do have to exercise responsibility and enforce, safety and practice. So designated responsible sober driver.
Yeah. Give my regards to the highway crew, especially Morgan.
All right.
Oh, Sarge, man, I'm sorry. I know you got to go. You had anything to say about the Hells Angels on Guam?
Oh.
What?
Oh.
Yeah. I want to talk about this.
Can we talk about that next week?
Okay, we'll talk about it next week.
All right.
Okay,
Okay.
good.
Take
Thank
care,
you, thank you, Sarge. Wash your hands.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Okay.
What? I want to know. I heard that.
I want to know too.
I heard
Piques
that
my interest.
there's law enforcement authorities that are looking at this
Mhm.
group, and I heard it from. I even heard it from a senator. Crazy. Yeah, I heard it from a sitting senator who told me, Chris, that Hell's Angels thing. I heard that the feds were looking at these guys and they were watching it really closely.
Mhm.
I know you guys think I'm crazy.
I don't think you're crazy.
You think I'm paranoid. You think I'm creating the big Hell's Angels. Yeah, no, it's real, man. It's real. So we're going to get Sarge to pop. If anything happens to me, guys, first people you check, Hell's Angels on Guam. Okay?
Don't check me.
Hey, it's 9:28. Again, I want to shout it out here to our friends over at Grab and Grub.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, let's do this here before.
Like I'm surprised. Oh yeah.
We have to play. If we play a long video, then you know that we're just eating in here. So the food we have this morning, so generously provided by our friends at Pika's Cafe and Grab and Grub.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Grab and Grub, there's an app. You download it. They got an Instagram. There's just a lot of restaurants. So many restaurants we've reopened.
Mm-hmm.
Some are doing dine-in, but a lot of restaurants. I was talking to a restaurant owner yesterday. They're waiting on the dine-in because they're doing so well on the takeout. And the guy I was talking to yesterday said we're actually making more on takeout than we did regular in some ways before the COVID, right? Because people are doing the takeout a lot. So if you're worried about going out to eat or whatever, check Grab and Grub. They've got so many different restaurants, so many different menus. A lot of restaurants that maybe never did takeout before are now doing takeout.
And I think we utilize Grab and Grub.
Do we ever? I'll tell you, they know us all. They know us by first name.
Yeah.
Okay, so just for everybody's knowledge, I'm actually working the secondary camera here.
Work it.
Can we explain the names of this? I'm thinking this is...
That is Kahlua.
Kahlua. That's what it says. It says
Yeah, it
Kahlua.
says Kahlua French toast.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay, so there are caramelized apples and bananas with powdered sugar.
That's the Chamorro Benedict.
And probably about 2 pounds of my slobber now, which is...
back up.
Yeah, back it up, man.
No, good thing I'm wearing my my mask. Okay, and then...
And then here we have a Chamorro Eggs Benedict. That's Chamorro sausage right there. Those are eggs that are perfectly cooked. When you stab that with the fork, matsutsu that, all the yolk. It's a big egg explosion.
And that butter has been sitting for a while, still good, but...
I think that's hollandaise, Jay.
Is that hollandaise sauce?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
My glasses are fogging.
Bree's glasses are fogging.
Okay, well, let's get a shot of that.
I took
And then the last one here we have.
It's the
there's a
mask.
couple more.
Fog up.
This is the Loco Moco.
Oh, okay. Let me go around.
I want to watch this.
It's so pretty.
Very good. You know, they say you eat with your eyes. I don't know anybody who's actually ever done that, but this stuff looks really good. That's just how I like my egg too. Sunny side up, crispy bottom.
What's the last one?
The last one, that would be, I want to say that's the bulgogi bowl.
Oh.
And as you can see, they've got it's the beef bulgogi on a bed of hot steam white rice. And there's a little kimchi on top there.
I am going to use every single ounce of computer science skill I have to try and invent smell-o-vision. So for next week, we can deliver that aspect to our view. Oh man, it smells incredible in here.
Right.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Which one are you gonna try?
You know, man, unfortunately, a couple days ago, I decided that I'm going to do some like diet things.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're not gonna eat meat.
I'm trying not to eat meat, but yesterday I ate chicken, which is meat. And also try not to eat rice.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're gonna have this one, right? The Chamorro.
Yeah, so I'm probably going to have that. But you just, to get real, which one do you want? Why don't we just start there?
I think you and I like the same one. The Chamorro
That
Benedict.
looks good, yeah, because I love Chamorro sausage.
I always get that one. When
Okay,
I
and as I was shooting that...
Who loves Chamorro sausage out there? Raise your hand.
Put it in the comments. Okay, as I was typing that, my phone was in my pocket. My
Right.
WhatsApp went off at least 90 times. A bunch of them were our friend Jennifer McFerrin.
Nice.
Yeah, so Jen was actually saying, she goes, yeah, that's total hollandaise sauce. You put it on there and it adds a completely different dimension.
Yeah, Jen knows me from the yoga scene. So what? thank you to Grab and Grub. And Pika's Cafe. Again, these guys are open. Pika's Cafe is also, I know the one over here at Hamburger Road. They're also doing a dine-in, okay? So you check them out. Again, Grab and Grub, it's a great service. We use it, I want to say, 4 or 5 times a work week. And it's great because you just, the little thing on the phone, and you press the buttons, and then you set it and forget it, and then you get back to work, and you stay productive. And then they come and deliver it. Timely, too. And you leave a tip, guys, okay? Leave a tip for these guys. All right. So you ready to eat?
Yeah, no, the mask is hurting my ears.
Okay. All right, Day. We're going to take just a really short break, and we're going to come back with more of Containing COVID next, right here on Guam's favorite, Good Morning.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
With the new challenges we're all facing, First Hawaiian Bank wants to make sure you have access to your financial world. With FHB Online and our mobile app, we hope to make banking the least of your worries. Visit fhb.com/digital.
We hope that you and your loved ones are safe and healthy during the COVID-19 pandemic. It has been a challenging time for all, but now, more than ever, our cancer patients and caregivers need us. Although we are apart, we stand united in the fight against cancer. The American Cancer Society Guam is excited to announce our first virtual Relay for Life. Join us on Saturday, June 27th at 6:30 p.m. on KUAM TV 8, as well as on I-94 FM and streaming on KUAM News digital platforms. Cancer does not stop, and neither can we. On June 27th, let's celebrate together and fight cancer. Visit relayforlife.org/GuamGU to find out how you can participate in the 2020 virtual Relay for Life Guam.
Healthy. Be informed with ITD.
It's not always easy trying something new. Sometimes you have to help your loved ones along. Nana is so used to her weekly trips to the bank that going online can be a little scary for her. But her grandson knows that banking online is safer and easier. So he's teaching her how to get started using Bank of Guam's online banking videos. Teaching is one way to show our loved ones we care. Keep your family safe at home and show them how to bank online. Find easy-to-use online banking tutorials at bankofguam.com or on our Instagram and Facebook pages. Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
Ha'afare. When it comes to applying for unemployment benefits, as it relates to the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance and Federal Pandemic Unemployment Compensation programs, the first thing you'll need to do is create an account and register on HireGuam.com. Utilizing this button rather than the Not Registered button at the upper right login box will ease the pool registration process as it was built specifically for the pool program. The first page you'll see is the welcome page that explains the pool program and the 10 scenarios of eligibility that caused unemployment. Read through it entirely, and if any pertain to you, click Next. Input your social security number and then re-enter to confirm. Notice at the top of the page, the eligibility section is completed and the registration process begins. In order to complete your registration process, you will be asked to provide the following: a username and password and select a security question, an email address, or if you don't have one, you will be required to create one with the link provided, your residential and mailing address if different, your preferred notification method to receive benefit notices and updates, any prior military or current military service, education, occupation, your preferred payment method, such as direct deposit or paper check. Now, if you opt for direct deposit, you will need to supply your bank account and routing number. And since these benefits are taxable, whether or not you would like your taxes withheld. When you see the page notifying you to proceed to make your PUA claim, you have completed the registration process and may continue to the work history portion of the claims process. Input your last employer data, job title, and employment information. When the system prompts you to enter your last day worked, make sure you enter the date in which your employment status was directly affected by COVID-19. For example, if you were furloughed on April 1st, 2020, but have since returned to work, you will enter April 1st and not yesterday. Complete the rest of your work history information and add as many past employers as needed. Once completed, you will be required to certify that all information is true and correct, that you are responsible to keep informed of program benefits and reading program material, and that you acknowledge that any false statements are punishable by law and could result in a fine, imprisonment, restitution, and a loss of future benefits. Read through PUA's to-do list and take note of the following. Immediately file your weekly claim. Report all income for the week to include tips, commissions, and gratuities, even if you have not yet been paid. If you return to your normal pre-pandemic work hours or return to work and make over $494, you must stop filing a weekly claim. You must be able and available for work. If you are offered your job back and refuse for a non-COVID related reason, you are no longer eligible to receive PUA benefits. And at PCOR 3, you must look for work by contacting at least 3 different employers about job openings. Be sure to upload a valid government-issued ID and supporting documents to strengthen your claim. Congratulations! You have completed the PUA claim filing process. It's time to file your weekly claim. Click on the File Your Weekly Claim button to proceed. Read through the explanation of the weekly certification process and advisories before proceeding. Notice that the weekly certification process begins the week in which you claimed as your last day of work. Answer each page honestly and input additional information as required. However, if you have since returned to work, be sure that on the weekly claim of the day you returned, you adjust your weekly earnings accordingly. Congratulations! You have filed your weekly claim. Make sure you file for all previous weeks you were affected to present. Now continue to file every week thereafter to receive unemployment benefits for those weeks. For more information on how the Guam Department of Labor can assist you, visit our website at dol.guam.gov.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
With the new challenges we're all facing, First Hawaiian Bank wants to make sure you have access to your financial world. With FHB Online and our mobile app, we hope to make banking the least of your worries. Visit fhb.com/digital.
We hope that you and your loved ones are safe and healthy during the COVID-19 pandemic. It has been a challenging time for all, but now, more than ever, our cancer patients and caregivers need us. Although we are apart, we stand united in the fight against cancer. The American Cancer Society Guam is excited to announce our first virtual Relay for Life. Join us on Saturday, June 27th at 6:30 p.m. on KUAM TV 8, as well as on I-94 FM and streaming on KUAM News digital platforms. Cancer does not stop, and neither can we. On June 27th, let's celebrate together and fight cancer. Visit relayforlife.org/GuamGU to find out how you can participate in the 2020 virtual Relay for Life Guam.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
It's not always easy trying something new. Sometimes you have to help your loved ones along. Nana is so used to her weekly trips to the bank that going online can be a little scary for her. But her grandson knows that banking online is safer and easier. So he's teaching her how to get started using Bank of Guam's online banking videos. Teaching is one way to show our loved ones we care. Keep your family safe at home and show them how to bank online. Find easy-to-use online banking tutorials at bankofguam.com or on our Instagram and Facebook pages. Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
The verdict, Brie. Chamorro Eggs Benedict from Pika's Cafe.
It's gone.
All gone.
All gone.
That's it.
That's
Good
really
stuff. I had me the other half of the Chamorro Eggs Benedict, and then I washed it down with a little bit of Kahlua French toast.
Oh, I don't think I've ever tried the Kahlua French toast. It's my first time. It was really good.
It is really good.
You didn't even need syrup.
Yeah, that's crazy. So thank you again to Grab and Grub and Pika's Cafe for doing us up on this great Friday. It's Betna's Father's Day weekend, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Father's Day weekend.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to cook. Yeah, so, I got 5 kids. You guys know I got 5 kids. So sometimes it's not always easy to get them all together in the same place. So our plan for Sunday is to get them all together because I have a daughter who's, aged out of my care.
Mm-hmm.
And she's living on her own, so it's just difficult. I mean, you guys know it's hard, man, especially with larger families to get everyone together. So that's what I love to do. Like I told you guys, we had started a new family tradition during the COVID. And that was to have brunch every Saturday. And so it's been really cool because of this new schedule. I'm really getting a lot more family time in. That's really neat. So yeah, Sunday I'm gonna cook a big meal.
Nice.
Because it's just me, and that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna barbecue some short ribs, and a whole bunch of other food that no one's gonna eat but me. So that's my plan. But I'm not doing the dishes. Nope. Not doing the dishes. Jay, happy Father's Day, Jay.
Thank you. And is there something that that I don't?
I just heard something about Palau, but it's probably a story for another time.
No, well, your story trumps my own because I was gonna say probably my mom and my sister and I are gonna get together on like WhatsApp and maybe just do something because it's the second year since my dad left us.
Yeah, Jay. And so tell us about that.
Yeah, so we try and do something that my dad would like to eat. My dad was a big fan of like peanut M&Ms.
Wow.
So at some point we'll do something like that, but just something to just do something to honor him.
Right.
And just say, that Dad would have liked this and everything like that. I mean, he was a big fan of Shirley's. He was a big fan of, King's. I mean, he was a big fan of food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your dad is a good guy. I knew your dad.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, that's how we're going to do Father's Day.
What was that, the 3 R's?
responsible, resourceful, respectful. I remember that.
Right, yeah.
There were a few of those signs in the garage. You're like,
It's an old, we need more senators like that, man. I don't know, a bunch of your dad's former colleagues are going to be running, actually, is what we're hearing.
is what we're hearing.
Yeah,
Let's add that in there.
That's what we're hearing. So, obviously you still think about your dad. What's it like, Jay, the second Father's Day without him?
The first one, like the Anu, of course, we were like, okay, well, we're gonna have mass, and then my mom and I actually took, my dad's surviving siblings. My dad was the oldest of 10, and there have been 3 who have passed on, including my Uncle Carl, my Nita's husband. So we took them out, and then we're like, for this one, we'll just do something like kind of small. And we have my dad cremated, so literally his ashes are up on the mantle. So he's always with us and everything. Yeah. So.
Well, let's do a tale of 2 fathers. I don't know if I ever shared with you guys, my parents divorced when I was very young, about 2 years old. Never had any kind of relationship with my father growing up. And, when I was 15, I reached out to him and I told him that, I was going through just a lot of issues. I mean, a young man growing up without a dad, it's tough. And so many people now are kind of living through that. So I'd reached out to him, and basically what he had told me that crushed me. It was like, no, sorry, but you were part of my life before, and I've moved on. And so for the next few years, I just struggled with skipping school. I was just mixed up with the wrong crowd and doing all kinds of crazy things. And I think it was because I was just punishing myself because I thought that I wasn't good enough for my dad to, want to have anything to do with. And that was just how it was. And then when I got my GED, went out to the States, I got a hold of him again, and I'd saved a bunch of money because I wanted to, it was a big hole in me. And so I wanted to go and visit with him. And so when I called him, he basically gave me this vibe like, oh, yeah, you can come and visit me, but, don't think that you're just going to hang out and freeload. And that just kind of made me really turn the page. Because I had saved up my money, and I was planning to go out and stay the state he was in. Just get a place for a few months and connect with him, because I really felt like I wanted to take care of all my daddy issues before I had kids of my own. But you know how it ended up working out, man? It ended up that I had my kids, and I figured the best way for me to get over that was to just try and be the best dad I could be. And
you are a phenomenal father.
No, I've made a lot of mistakes, man. But you know what I've figured out over the years is you can't move forward while you got both eyes looking back,
But you know what I've always seen? And, we've had the privilege of being able to see, all 5 of your kids come here, hang out with us after school, Easter break, summertime, and everything like that. And we've seen, 4 of them grow up, to maturity. And the way you address each of your kids through their various stages of development is very, very different. You talk to your oldest son right now as if,
it's almost a peer.
Yeah, exactly. You're more his buddy than you're his dad, and then you address Callie, your little querida and everything like that.
Tough. And their moms are just so awesome. Really, sometimes it's complicated having co-parents, but we got to give credit where credit's due. So yeah.
No, but you are a fantastic father.
Hey, thank you, Jay. Thank you.
It's a side of you I never saw. I mean, growing up on Guam, reading your baseball column, first of all, and then, knowing you from the malfunction side, and then having the privilege of working with you for 10 years, and then now actually seeing you. I mean, it's a completely different dimension to who you are as a person. Okay.
Sorry, you're just embarrassing.
And now I'll firmly remove my lips from your backside.
Thank you. Right on.
Well, can I just say Happy Father's Day to my dad? God, you guys went on and on.
We were saving the best for last.
I'm really close with my dad. My dad is in Las Vegas, and around this time of the year I'm already starting to plan to go see them in the fall, but because of COVID I'm not sure when I'm going to see them, so I really miss my parents. And then I have my other person that I call my dad, my Uncle Tony, who lives in San Diego, so I really, really do miss them both very much. And the holidays are always difficult for me, because I'm the only one that's really here, and so they live off island, including my brothers. So anyway,
I got to shout out my mom though, because I was raised by a single mom, and it's always funny, and she's always like every year, don't forget me on Father's Day.
Well, actually, I'm a big movie guy, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to censor myself here because censoring the media or whatever, right? But I'm going to change the word so it's appropriate for TV, because now that we're on TV 11. But there's that line from Boys in the Hood when Lawrence Fishburne, he's talking to a Cuba Gooding Jr., he goes, any fool with a ding-ding can make a baby, but it takes a real man to raise his children.
I don't think he used those words.
Yeah,
but,
that's not really how it went. But I want to just speak out to the young dads out there, because there's a lot of young fathers. Just try and be there, man. It's hard. Like, I went through a divorce, and it was crazy. It was so damaging to my kids, and God, they had their share of feelings about me too. But the only way to really work through it a lot of times is just by putting in the time, and you'll be surprised how much children appreciate when you make time and you just put in time. And even if it's something like, sitting on the couch together, talking about nothing, just being in your kid's life can make such a big difference. So 9:53, we're going to end the show on a good note. Coming up in just a little bit. Jay, I know that you wanted to pump our Relay for Life.
Can we throw that now?
Can we?
Okay, so so the Relay for Life is, of course, going to be on June 27th. Of course, it goes without saying at this point that what we normally do, Guam comes together as one team, one family, one community, and we get together and we walk laps all night at the GW track to fight cancer and to support people who have been touched by the disease. There's so many people. Everybody knows someone, unfortunately, that's been touched by cancer. Because of the pandemic, we can't do that. So we are honoring one of our fallen brothers here, Savage K Conception, who made this beautiful song, and then Sabrina actually did the choreography for it. Chris tried to keep up.
Try not to say that, jeez.
No, we came up with this dance, and each of us is
Hey Jay, I gotta stick up for Bree here. Like, yeah, Bree did the choreography, but it wasn't like she had a whole diagram. She was just like, well, go like this and like that and like that.
And you actually said you tried to incorporate as many of the TikTok moves as, because I don't know if this.
After a while, I just couldn't. I was like, just get this done.
But it is very creative. And so
I want to do the whoa, but I just couldn't.
So what we've done is we've actually put this real short montage. They're going to do it like 3 times, and we want you guys to actually go to our Facebook page right now. It's up on the timeline. It's pinned to the top. Download Savage K's track, and then you can incorporate your family, your people in church, your classmates. Do it remotely, social distance, be safe, be smart. But make your own video of you guys doing Live Life Alive, and then send it to us at KUAM Dance Challenge at KUAM.com. Get it to us as soon as possible, because we're going to put a mishmash together. We're going to do a supercut of all of the awesome dances that you guys put together. So first of all, here is the dance from our own, or music by Savage K Conception, choreography by these two.
Feet on the ground, we all know we gotta fight to survive. Let's live life, it's alright. That's so easy, right? Just live life. Feet on the ground, we all know we just fight to survive. So live life alive, it's alright. Okay, gotta run back to you. Right. Never give up, never stay down, stand back up. Feet on the ground, we all know we must fight to survive. So live life alive, it's alright. Never give up, never stay down, stand back up. Feet on the ground, we all know we must fight to survive. So live life alive, it's alright. Never give up.
So Live Life Alive, Live Life, okay, so you do cross, then heart.
Live life alive, it's alright.
Is there a name for, okay, you do the cross, then you do the Taylor Swift, whatever it's called. You do the
Then you do
T-Swift.
hands up.
And then hands up.
Yeah.
Nice
Good job. Good job on the choreography, Bree.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
You
I
guys
tried
need-
to get my son to help me, because he knows all that whoa and all that.
He's too cool, right?
Okay.
Yeah, he was playing his Fortnite.
And we
then
want to see
looking at
how
me
you
like,
guys
Mom,
do.
You're so stupid.
Like, remember, that's the general dance. We want to see how you guys do. You guys can make it your own, be creative, improve upon it. It's the TikTok challenge, challenge. It's a challenge culture. Everybody basically does the same thing, and we're doing this because we are all doing this together to show that we can do something in unison. Again, one big island familia to fight against cancer.
Mm-hmm. All right, and the virtual Relay for Life show, we're going to be airing it next week Saturday, June 27th.
Mhm.
That is Saturday, right?
Yep.
June 27th. Saturday, 6:30 p.m. on KUAM TV8, and we're also going to be streaming it on our social media on Facebook.
And it's a big show. Don't just think it's like, okay, well, there's no Relay for Life. We're just going to go there, do a couple, 2-minute speeches, boom, 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 we're in, we're out. I mean, we are recreating Relay for Life for you guys because we believe in this cause with all of our hearts. How many people at KUAM over the years have been touched by cancer?
Too many.
Yeah. Good, great answer. Okay. So we're doing this so the entire community can come together and do what we always do, which is support each other, believe in each other, and give each other hope. So please do the, once again, to participate in the KUAM Dance Challenge, go on our Facebook page right now, download the video, we got an MP3, and then practice as much as you want, shoot yourself, use your phone, use your iPad, use your DSLR, do whatever like that. Add the music into it, and then email it to KUAMDanceChallenge@KUAM.com and be part of our Supercut. It is going to be awesome. Thank you so very much. And thank you guys for kicking it off.
Right, thanks. Thanks for your angle of your video that you shot of me.
Oh,
I'm a down angle guy, not an up angle.
I believe the Scorsese called that the muffin top couture. The muffin top noir.
Meet you out back after the show, Jay. 9:58. Hey, let's end the show on a good note. We want to bring on Dominica from the Guam Museum. And Dominica, we've got a bunch of great pics of the stuff you and the staff have done over at the museum that we're going to play. So just to start from the beginning, what type of things did you guys do to help out during the COVID, Dominica? Good morning. Chris and Sabrina here.
Good morning. Yes, thank you so much for having us and for this recognition. We're really honored. We've been doing a couple of things currently. We're helping Cumberland Caradat with their food distribution, helping sort out their pantry so that they can figure out what kinds of canned goods and snacks they can give to the homeless. So we've been doing that 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then also daily, we try to have someone go up to the Dedido Mayor's office to help out with their admin stuff, their office work. They've got an inundation of phone calls for people looking for assistance for their applications, getting unemployment assistance. So we've been helping them with that aspect of their office work. But the Cumberland Caradat has really touched us too, because now it's given us an opportunity to really connect with the community, and also it gives us as a museum family to have a chance to get together to see each other, because we actually haven't seen each other since the museum closed. So we're waiting to see from the Department of Chamorro Affairs when the museum will be able to reopen. But until then, we're very grateful to our community that has always supported us, and this is just our small way to try to give back.
Right.
And help people that are in need.
And what was it like to go out there and to kind of see these people and the great need that they were experiencing?
Well, we haven't really been to in the actual distribution of the food packages, because of course we're trying to maintain our safety as well. We always wear masks and protective gear, gloves when we work with the food items. But we're learning a lot about what homeless, what the Cumberland Caradat wants to try to give to the homeless people. What kinds of food commodities are the kinds of things that are most beneficial to them. So we've learned a lot in that way, and we know that our contribution is helping, because we've been told by the staff that we've helped them so much with some of this this food sorting and packaging, that we've made them be ahead of schedule of their food distribution.
That's good, and I'm sure they appreciated the help, Dominica, and that's why we wanted to bring you on and to recognize you and your staff there at the Guam Museum as our COVID heroes for the day. Thank you so much for your good work.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And you let us know when you guys are going to reopen. So the guidance came out. Is there a timeline, Dominica?
Not that we know of. So we're just going to wait and see.
Right on. Well, you keep doing good things, okay?
Thank you so much.
And we'll see you soon. Wash your hands.
Bye, Dominica.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye. Great lady there, Dominica at the Guam Museum. Really just wanted to, again, recognize the great work. Hey, we're always looking for good notes. It's pretty easy to find because there's so many people who are doing things to make Guam a better place. But if you have anybody that you would like to nominate for a good note segment, you could message us, hit us in the DM, or you message our KWAM News Facebook page, or throw something in the comments. We always check those. Bree, good job today.
Good job today.
Thank you. Jay,
No, real quick. Somebody was asking me, and they said, my family, our neighbors, they do something like that, but how can I be part of like the Good Note thing? Because they're like, do I have to be like a certain, like, does my organization have to have a certain number of members? Do we have to?
No.
Yeah, people are just wondering, like, is it some like scale? It's like, no, if you're doing good things in the community, we will feature you, and that's a promise. But you have to get in touch with us and let us know.
Yeah, and I mean, it hasn't always. It's been mostly individuals. I mean, there are the